on. If we get rain, this already sensational build-up could be unbelievable. Round 6 of the 2025 Autobac Super GT Series here at the Miyagi Prefecture on the fantastic and another great chapter in what promises to be an unbelievable continuation of the brilliance of Shotsuboi and Kenta Yamashita. Shotsuboi, of course, is on the march to become a 5-time Super GT champion. He's only a season and a half away from that, the way things stand. Already a 3-time champion in 2021, 2023 and 2024, and currently leading the championship with 3 races to go. It's mad to think that on January the 1st, 2027, he could well be a 5-time champion. But let's get racing underway at Sportsland Sugo first and foremost. Hiroki Otsu leads the charge in the ARTA Mugen. The Denso Sad Supra of Sekiguchi, second on the grid. He'll hand over to Fenestraz later on. Daiki Sasaki in the Nismo Nissan, alongside the reigning champions. Kenta Yamashita will start the number 1 Tom Supra. Sugi Matsuda in the Kondo Nissan. The other Nismo Nissan of Mitsunori Takaboshi goes from P6. Then Hiroki Ashura and Shun Koide lining up together on the 4th row of the grid. Toyota versus Honda. Then it's the Enios rookie card, 9th on the grid with 97 kilos aboard. A tough race ahead for them, with the second of the Tom Supras in 10th position for Uki Sasara and Giuliano Alesi. Tomoka Nijiri lines up in 11th on the grid in his ARTA Mugen alongside the Wed Sport Supra of Yuji Kunamoto. Then Takuya Izawa in the Civic Type R from Modulo. The Impul Nissan for Bertrand Baguette, way down in 14th on the grid, and difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel for the Kunimitsu Civic, the car that won the championship many years ago with Jensen Button. Now Naoki Yamamoto will start alongside his teammate Tadasuke Makino from the back of the GT500 grid. Now for GT300, Zach O'Sullivan, pole position in the Car Guy Ferrari alongside the home favourite, Rikuta Kobayashi. Then Hiroki Yoshimoto in the Cintium Ellen Corsa car. They were so quick yesterday. The J-Lock Lamborghini, 3rd on the grid, their most competitive starting position of the year. The Good Smile Mercedes leading the fight for the charge in the title race, and 4th on the grid with 100 kilos aboard. That's the same fate for the Inging GR86 right behind them. APR LC500H is going to have Oliver Rasmussen and starting driver Miki Koyama. Only 8 kilos aboard. Can they grab a podium? Then the Kondo Nissan, Kohei Hirati, alongside Suganami in the championship leading Leon Pyramid Mercedes. Sebastian Kondo alongside Harry King in the 7x7 Porsche. That they had yesterday. Tomobayashi kicks things off in the Pacific AMG. Then the Helm Motorsport GDR, a great showing from Hiraki and Hiraki. Igor Fraga, the gamer turned motorsport superstar in the Alistair Walter RCF. They just missed out on the Q2 shootout. The K-Tunes RCF Lexus likewise for Morio Nita and Shinichi Takagi. Then Nomura in the Up Garage AMG, no longer racing Hondas. Shiotsu in the Mach 5 Speed Racer have got a lot of work to do from 22nd. Then the Subaru BRZ for Hideki Yamauchi, a big race ahead of them and a lot of long faces at the team. The Run-Up Revo GTR, 24th on the grid. Then it is Ida in the Frontier Nissan, the ABR GR86 of Manabu Orido, and the grid is completed by Eiji Shimizu, the Shade Racing car just about working, and the RQ's Mercedes for Kano at the back of the field. So here at Sportsland Sugo, it's going to be ultra competitive. It's going to be very difficult to predict a winner. And again, this circuit will always deliver. Air temperature 24 degrees Celsius. It's a rather cool 32 degrees Celsius, but it's the humidity that everybody are keeping their eye on here. There is a 60% chance that we're going to get rain through the course of this race, according to the Met Office. So this is definitely going to be a difficult race to predict. And when it rains here, it really does change the face of racing. This is a big circuit when it comes to elevation change, modifications and variations in camber. The radiuses get very slippery and tricky on this circuit. So it's never easy to predict how things are going to progress. It's a tough race circuit, this, and it always delivers drama. And in both championships, drama is something that we've been missing from the front end of the championship battle, because certainly Kenta Yamashita and Shotsuboi's crew They just always find a way to bring their car back to the top 5. And we've said this time and time again in Super GT, and we'll keep saying it because it's still so relevant. This championship is not about what you do when you win. It's about what you do when you don't. And the amazing team at Tom's have still been able to drag this car kicking and screaming into the top 10 every race, no matter what is thrown at it. And for them to get 4th on the starting grid in a car with 100 kilos of ballast, when the closest car in the championship to them, the rookie Toyota, 3 kilos less, was only able to get 9th on the grid, it tells you so much about the sheer incredible dominance of the Tom's crew. They were only half a second off pole position in yesterday's Q2 session. That is astonishing. But it's a big moment of expectation for young Ren Sato as he seeks his first GT500 victory in Super GT. The 5-minute board goes up, and boy, oh boy, is this going to be a tense one for all of the teams. Joining me in the commentary box from his walk around the paddock and down on the starting grid, Jamie Klein has been keeping abreast of the situation in both the GT500 and GT300 camps. There's a lot of tension down there, particularly for Honda and Nissan, who want to continue taking points away from Toyota as they did at Suzuka. But first and foremost, the national anthem. Only 3 drivers on this current starting grid have yet to take their first win in GT500 competition. Tepinatore, Shun Koide, and the man on pole position, Ren Sato. Cometh the hour, cometh the men. Here is the championship standings. 10 points separates the crews from Tom's Toyota number 1 and the rookie Toyota number 14, with only 3 or 4 other crews realistically in the fight for the championship. It's even closer in GT300. The gap is just a mere 7.5 points between the crews from Leon Pyramid Mercedes and D Station Aston Martin. It's going to be so difficult.
That's the clouds have now moved away. Looks like we're going to be set there for a dry race. I spoke to Sasha Fenestraz on the grid, who's of course in the Saab Toyota starting P2. He's very concerned about tyre graining. He said the rain last night has really washed the track surface clean. The grip is very poor, he said, during the warm-up session, which was slightly disrupted with a red flag for the Good Smile Mercedes shedding a wheel. That car is absolutely fine, so don't worry, Good Smile fans. But that means we're a little bit behind schedule, 10 minutes behind schedule, but Fenestraz believes this is going to be a tyre wear race. And very much the same opinion coming from Tomo Koike, the engineer working on the pole, sitting number 16. Honda, as now are going to get the Autobacks traditional time limits starting their car.
2025オートバックススーパー GT ラウンド6スゴ GT300 キロレースの開会を宣言いたします。
So this is a big day at the office for both Honda and Nissan. If Nissan are going to keep their championship hopes alive, they need to take some big points off Toyota. And already it's an ominous threat from 4th on the starting grid from the Tom's Toyota number 1. It doesn't matter what you throw at these guys. They will always bounce back for more. It's very difficult to see where their weak link is, because it just doesn't seem like they have one. You throw 100 kilos of ballast onto this car, Jamie, and they are still top 5 material, only half a second away from pole position. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I did actually bump into Kenty Yamashita earlier. I said, "Oh, what an amazing lap!" And he said, "Oh, it's just the car was quick." I think he was as surprised as anybody, to be honest, in terms of the performance of the car carrying that stage 3 fuel flow restrictor, which is the most restrictive that there is. Only that car in the number 14 Toyota carrying that in GT500, and Kazuya Oshima only managing 9th on the grid. So what a chance for Sugo and Yamashita to extend their points lead here today. It would, we were talking in the build-up to qualifying about how rookies suddenly put the pressure on, only 10 points behind, but if they finish in the order they start, then that gap's going to go out quite a bit by the time we get to the top of this, and it's going to make it could even bring the possibility of an early coronation into focus as we head to the top of this in about a month's time.
And so we begin the parade lap, which is for the local police force to lead the field around. The local police force, of course, based here in the Miyagi Prefecture. They will do the parade lap, then we'll get a formation lap, and then we'll go racing. This is a big opportunity as well for the men in second on the grid. Obviously, if a Toyota is going to be strong, then you have to look to the men in the number 39. Yui Sekiguchi doing a great job yesterday in qualifying, and Sasha Fenestraz, after his 2 years in Formula E, this has been his chance to prove to everyone at Toyota, look, I'm here to stay. I have an amazing future here in Japan. You were right to pick me.
Comment from well, we heard from Sekiguchi, didn't we, in the Park Fermi interview. If you were not with us yesterday, he said that they really found something that was that had been wrong with the car. They kind of made that discovery at Suzuka, where they had that really good final stint with Fenestraz at the wheel, and it seems that momentum has carried over here. And certainly, you would say if Toyota is going to make it a 6th win. Of course, we had the extra race for the Fuji Sprint, so it just took me a moment there. Then they're the car most likely to do it. I don't think that the number 1 Tom's car will be in a position to go for the win, although of course, you know, stranger things have happened. But then it's got to be the Saad car that's in with the best chance today, I think, of the Toyota GR Super Fleet.
I mean, it's still mad to think that we could end up at the end of this season with 8 wins for Toyota out of the 9 races that we've had. Okay, 2 of those have been the sprint, but it's still baffling to consider. And that is the kind of record that's never been achieved before in the modern era. So it really is up to Honda and Nissan to do what they can to get under the skin of Toyota and crack open the secret ingredient that stops them in their charge. For Toyota, they can afford to come off the gas a little bit here at Sugo, because they've already proven that their cars are good enough to run top 5. Certainly for the number 1 Tom's crew, the pressure's off them to a certain extent. They've got a 10-point lead over the rookie team, who are down in 9th on the grid. They're in 4th place. All they essentially have to do is drive. They don't even have to push, and they will gain in the championship over their rivals. Then, of course, we go to Autopolis when the ballast is going to be cut in half, and then we'll finish up at Motegi when there's no ballast at all. They can basically just trot to the title at this stage of the rankings, but we've said that before in Super GT, and this is Tom's. They never do anything other than 100%.
And this whole tyre wear thing, if it does become the sort of deciding factor in the race, as Fenestraz and others seem to think it will, then perhaps, who knows, maybe if the number 1 Tom's car is on a better compound for these conditions, maybe a stiffer tyre perhaps is the order of the day. I saw a couple of cars on the grid with heavy graining of the tyres that they've been using for the warm-up section. So that's I think we need to be looking out for. And then you would say perhaps if that becomes the decisive factor, then okay, it is a tough circuit to overtake. But if there's a big delta in terms of tyre usage between the various teams, then who knows? Maybe there could be scope for a podium, or perhaps even more. We'll have to wait and see.
GT300, very difficult to predict as well. The Cintium Corsa versus Carguy Ferrari battle in qualifying yesterday only settled by a few thousandths of a second in the end after that mighty final lap from Rikita Kobayashi to steal away the pole position. There are your previous winners, and that's a pleasing sight The last 3 winners at Sugo have been one from each manufacturer. Nissan in 2022, Honda in 2023, and Toyota last year. As into the pits comes the Subaru. Well, they may as well go for an interesting strategy, I suppose. They're only 5 cars off the back of the grid anyway, but this is definitely a bad to worse scenario for everybody at Subaru.
But it didn't look like they were in a huge rush to send the car back out. Okay, they have got time before the field comes around, but that's highly unusual unless they really believe that they're on the wrong starting tyre for these conditions. Maybe that is it, but are they going to change the tyres? Looks like they're preparing to, but you'd think they would be getting on with it if that was the plan, but we'll wait and see. But certainly just quickly on 300, the number 60 Lexus has a big chance here because the number 7 car guy Ferrari has the pit stop penalty plus 15 seconds, reckons Zach O'Sullivan. That's a huge amount of time. So the number 60 car, of course, without the penalty, has a great chance of getting in there for the win.
So now it's time to see what Sportsland Sugo will deliver this year. We've had a win from Nissan in 22, a win from Honda in 23, a win from Toyota last year. All 3 manufacturers are either in top 3 positions of the starting grid. The Tom's Toyota goes off P1. For Hiroki Otsu, it's time to go for Super GT 500 win number 2. Rensato has never won in GT 500 from pole position. So it's time for these guys to put up or shut up as we go green. Let's race at Sportsland Sugo. Good start as we head our way into the first turn. No major problems in the GT 500 ranks. You've got to remember that with this being quite a small and confined grid, it's not going to be bombastic off the line, but looking good already for Yui Sekiguchi to challenge Hiroki Otsu. Toyota want the lead nice and early. They know that ARTA Mugen have the potential to hold up the field here if they don't get a decent run. Off we go in GT 300. It's much more congested, and already the J-Lock Lamborghini is going to make the bid to get into second position, and the door will be left open for the good smart Mercedes to slot in if there's a chance to get through as well. J-Lock goes for it on the inside line. Is that going to be the move done from Yuya Motojima? No. Well covered there by Hiroki Yoshimoto.
Yeah, that was crucial for Yoshimoto to keep position there because all they need to do is keep up with the number 7 Ferrari with Zach O'Sullivan at the wheel, and they'll be in the pound seat when the pit stops roll around. As we see Sekiguchi off to a bright start, he's already gapped Daiki Sasaki in the number 3 Nissan, but no way by Hiroki Otsu for the lead at the moment.
Charging round this final turn, you'll see sparks fly from the left front of all of the GT 500 cars as there's more problems for Subaru. They finally get going, but they are a country mile even behind the GT 300 grid. So it's absolute disaster for Subaru as basically their race now becomes a test session. Up on the inside line trying to defend the position. This is Kondo versus Nismo as it's going to be close now between Sugi Matsuda and Mitsunori Takaboshi. Don't forget that even though they are the same manufacturer, they are different teams. Oh, problems for the 87 J-Lock. That's a puncture in the rear.
Rear puncture, yeah, that's disastrous for number 87. Of course, not the higher of the 2 J-Lock Lamborghinis, but still not what the team led by Isao Noritake want to see. I think that would be possible to get back to the pits, but still that's the end of any kind of point scoring prospects for that car.
They've got to be careful that they don't spin the car at the final turn, where obviously there's a big dip in the camber and elevation. There is the number 1, Kenti Yamashita, under pressure from Matsuda and Takaboshi in the early stages. And oh, looks like there's been a bit of an issue there for the Shade car that's already had several difficulties in the last few weeks. They certainly don't need more bad fortune as the Hobbychat Supra goes wheel to wheel with the Helm GTR. So what's happened in turn 1? Oh, a big and ambitious move on the K-Tunes Lexus that's gone terribly wrong.
Oh dear. And that's the car that's just had a fresh engine fitted. Luckily, gets away without too much of a delay there. That's just looking out for who's at the wheel of that car. It's Eijiro Shimizu, as we see side by side here for Kazumi and Sasahara in the battle for Toyota supremacy there, battling over 9th and 10th positions. So not really much change at all in the GT500 order. In fact, I'm not sure. I think the 15 cars may still be in grid order, in fact, after 3 laps.
So there is the J-Lock Lamborghini 87 having a new set of boots fitted, but obviously it's outside the pit window. So just like the Subaru BRZ that's already being lapped by the GT500 field, this is now a test session for the 87 J-Lock. Not what they needed at all. Further back, Kenti Yamashita now reeled in by Sugio Matsuda, the legend of this sport. Still putting on a great display here, trying to work his way further forward, Sugio. But of course, he's got a lot of work to do here. 18 victories in his Super GT career, Sugo Matsuda, more than anybody else on the starting grid now. So there's a lot still to come from him, as there is Bertrand Baguette. Look at the sparks that fly out from the Nissan as it works its way through. You'll see that a lot, particularly from the Nissan Fairlady Zs, because those cars are so dialed in for the rest of the where it really starts to Zawa putting pressure on the wet spot Supra of Yuji Kudimoto, trying to work his way through on the inside line there, but still no dice. There is the leading GT300 car, British driver Zach O'Sullivan, 89 kilos aboard that Ferrari. You wouldn't know it.
Certainly wouldn't. There's been a position change further back. That's the 56 realised Kondo Racing Nissan. That's gained a position at the expense of Miki Koyama in the number 31 Lexus. Of course, a big chance for Koyama there. It's quite Hirate taking the start of the 56 car, but chance for a podium as a lot of the cars around that car have penalties to take, and the number 31 doesn't. In fact, it's the second highest of those that don't have the penalty to take. We'll wait and see how that all shakes out, but expect to see a big shuffle in position, and Koyama still putting Hirate under a fair bit of pressure, it looks like, in the background.
Yeah, she needs to make this the race that solidifies her position in Super GT. Already a Formula Regional Japan champion, prolific racer at the front end of Lamborghini races as well. So she's been very diverse over the last few years. It's up the inside, around the outside, sorry. Outside. Using the traffic. Oh, Sugo Matsuda shows why he is the most winning driver on the current Super GT grid. That was a masterful move around the outside of Kenji Yamashita to box him in behind the J-Lock Lamborghini. Absolutely superb. Watch this. Gets alongside, knows where the J-Lock Lamborghini is going to go. Yamashita tries to hang on. This is masterclass. Look at it. Use the Lamborghini, box him in. No room. Thank you very much.
You can tell there that number 1 car does not have the straight line speed of the number 24. No surprise, of course, with that stage 3 fuel flow restrictor. So Matsuda was able to make full use of that, get side by side, and then the Lamborghini was just the final piece of the puzzle. It looks like Sasahara, meanwhile, has cleared Nirei Fukuzumi for P9.
Yes, indeed he has. So the big championship leaders are struggling with that 100 kilos and fuel flow stage restrictor 3 wide into the first turn there as the Satamoto Opet Supra is going to go wheel to wheel there with the Unirobo Ferrari. Nicely done as the Polos Ferrari goes around the outside. Nice moves already. Yes, up into the lead. That's Yuichi Kikuchi. He's got the Saad Supra ahead of Orochiotsu.
Wow, so we didn't see where that happened, but I can only, it looked like it had already been done into turn 1. Will we get a replay here? I think we will.
Oh, wow. That's commitment over the top of the crest, isn't it?
That's the
beautifully done.
We know and love. Making that bold pass around the outside, but it looked like the 16 didn't have very good momentum coming up the hill there. So was there a wobble in the middle of the last corner, or was there an inconveniently placed GT300 car that forced Otsu to get off the throttle? But either way, that suddenly put Saad in a very good position.
That is what we love about GT300. It's not just about the pace in these GT500 cars, but it's how you navigate the traffic. And Yui Sekiguchi has now put a bit of daylight already between himself and Orochiotsu as he navigates his way past the APR. In unison, Orochiotsu's made his bid now. Here comes the good smart Mercedes, currently running in 4th position. That's Kataoka trying to get past Yuya Motojima in the championship winning Lamborghini from last year. But Kataoka, again, another GT300 car that is really outselling itself here as it runs beautifully up the order. And still, this duel continues. But now that looks like Sasaki under pressure from Matsuda.
Matsuda is caught up, so the Yokohama tyre on that Kondo Racing Nissan is working very well, it seems, at least in these early phases of the race. It's not like he's really gapped Yamashita. Yamashita's still hanging on there in 5th position. But Matsuda putting Daiki Sasaki under all sorts of pressure, and these are crucial races now for the Nissan contingent as rumours continue to swirl that program might be slimming down to 3 cars next year. Who is going to be left standing when the music stops? These races could play a big role in deciding that.
Yeah, very important, isn't it? If Nismo trim their field down to 1, then you've got to be very careful about who you give that car to. So it's important that the drivers advertise themselves as the right men for the job, diving down the inside of the GTR from Helm. Very nice work indeed as they continue to work their way through the GT300 traffic. And this is for the lead up on the inside in GT300. That's Yoshimoto. He takes the lead from Zach O'Sullivan. So we've had a lead change in 500, now a lead change in 300 as well.
Yeah, I mean, with the lightweight in that number 60 car, it's not a big surprise, but O'Sullivan did well to hang on for as long as he did. But don't forget, he's got the 15-second penalty coming up to serve during the pit stop. So it's looking very good indeed for number 60 at this stage of the race. I know it's early days yet, a long way to go, but they really do have all the cards in their favour at the moment. It seems not only the on-track pace, but also the fact that pit stop will be much, much shorter. Look at Yamashita, he's right back in the mix here, thanks to the GT300 traffic.
This is exactly why they are so good at working their way through this traffic jam. And Sugo is such a difficult circuit to get right through the traffic, as now we've got the Estemo Civic trying to work its way forward there. That is Shinkoide mixing his way through and trying to get close to Mitsunori Takaboshi as we go down the back straight. And you can see Matsuda really starting to gain momentum here on Daiki Sasaki. The Nismo is under some pressure now. The heat is turned right up by Sugi Matsuda. Don't forget, the number 3 car has not taken a win so far this year. The 23 has. So if they are going to cut the program down to just 3 cars, one for Nismo, one for Impul, one for Kondo, you've got to be careful that you're on the right side of the coin. Here comes the Good Smile going for 3rd position, side by side with Yuya Motojima, and it's Tatsuya Kataoka getting into 3rd position at a perfect time. Lots of overtaking already here at Sugo. Could the 4th position be up the grabs here? That could be Kohei Hirati getting through in the Kondo, as now we're going side by side in the Nissan camp. And there goes Matsuda into 3rd, right round the outside of 1 and 2 on Daiki Sasaki. Kondo-san looks very relieved about that one.
Yeah, absolutely flying. Matsuda making up for the faux pas he committed at Suzuka last time out. As we're watching now, Shinkoide put the pressure on the number 23 Nissan. And the number 8 Honda has suddenly jumped up to 8th position there. There's been a lot of changes. The 37 Toyota slumped all the way to 12th. So I don't know what happened to Ukyo Sasahara, but positions are changing all the time now. Look at Sasaki now being caught up by Kenta Yamashita. And the number 8 Honda is definitely on a stiffer tyre. I heard that on the grid from ARTA. So look out for number 8, and anybody else who's on a stiffer tyre compound might be the key today to success. It looks like there's a lot of position changes going on all up and down the field.
What we are getting is a vintage Super GT race, exactly as it should go, and we are getting ourselves close to the end of the first 10 laps. Sasaki is under pressure now from Kenta Yamashita. That is a car with a stage 3 fuel flow restrictor at 100 kilos, and they are still putting Sasaki under some heat as they dial their way down to the first turn. And look further back, this is getting pretty heated now. Shinkoide is going to have his attempt right round the outside of Takaboshi, and he's going to make it. Shinkoide makes the move, and so too does the ARTA of Tomoki Najiri.
So the number 23 Nissan really struggling, it looks like, because that's 2 positions shipped in a short space of time, but also completely losing touch with the number 1 Toyota of Kenta Yamashita. So I wonder how quickly Koide and Najiri, who both seem to be in unison and on good pace to be able to catch the cars in front. I just want to say, by the way, there is a contact under investigation. It's between the number 52 Saitama Toypack Greengrave car and number 87 Lamborghini, which we saw had a puncture. So I think that explains why the 87 had a puncture. So for a possible penalty coming the way of Greengrave, we'll have to wait and see what the stewards decide.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that one in due course. But certainly some big shuffles in the deck, and it's only going to add to the variety. Oh, so close there for Sasaki. He has to wait as the Polos Ferrari cuts him off through the hairpin, and this could be the chance for Kenta Yamashita. Yamashita's got to be careful he doesn't get boxed in behind the Ferrari. He then tucks back in behind Sasaki, but he's got momentum now. He can build this and go for it into turn 1, although they're going to have an issue because the championship contenders in GT300 are side by side as Charlie Fag tries to go right round the outside of the Leon Mercedes and nails it.
That's important for the championship, isn't it? Because the D-Station Aston Martin needs to start closing the gap on the Leon Mercedes. So great drive by Charlie Fag, who went straight into qualifying with no practice time after that car's electronic gremlins yesterday. And so much, this is the real dense traffic. You can't simulate this, can you? The pressure of the race environment and the huge amount of traffic you've got to deal with around a circuit as narrow as this. This is a real test It's not Charlie's first time here at Sugo, of course, but this is a great experience for him to deal with this traffic, and also for the 500 guys. This is where they really earn their money.
You have got to have your stalks on a race circuit like this in these situations. It is so difficult to navigate your way through as Taiki Sasaki fends off Kenti Yamashita by lapping the in-game. Through they go. Now they've got Miki Koyama in the hybrid LC500 in front of them. Timing is everything, and Shun Koide nails it round the outside of the championship contenders in GT300. He's going to keep his foot in and keep that right round the outside. Excellent stuff. Now Sasaki's going to get the breath as Miki Koyama is going to use this as an opportunity to leapfrog past the J-Lock. Good work from Miki Koyama as she moves ahead now of the J-Lock Lamborghini, and that's crucial. That puts her into 5th position.
Yeah, Lamborghini struggling badly. It was the first time really we've seen this year the number 0 car. Of course, last year's champion car, that's what the number 0 denotes. The first time we've really seen them up there, but that lack of straight line performance that they've been complaining about all year seems to be
look is in second.
Kato. So O'Sullivan's lost 2 positions.
Yes, he has.
Is going slowly by the looks of it. O'Sullivan slipped. Here we go. This is how Kataoka got through on turn 1.
So Kataoka got the job done.
A couple of corners later, I'm guessing also got the move done. Here we go.
Yeah, it's difficult because we've got to follow so many different things in GT500 and GT300 at the same time that you miss big moments like that fairly easily. I did see a moment ago the K-Tunes Lexus was going slowly. So the Lexus is dropping back. So there's an issue there for K-Tunes. But yes, Zach O'Sullivan down to 4th position. And look at the gap that has been pulled on them. They've lost 10 seconds to the leader in the space of about 5 laps.
What the good smart Mercedes is doing with that amount of ballast on board. And don't forget, they've got more ballast on board than the driver's points suggest, because don't forget, Koide right on the back of Yamashita now, by the way. They've got more points on the board, as we see Fag is looking like he's going to get the move done on MotoGP there. Continuing J-Lock's miserable race so far. They have more points, the good smart Mercedes, because of the team standings, which goes back to the fact that Taniguchi and Kataoka didn't race at Sepang, but their substitute drivers still got on the podium, so that's why they're carrying the maximum 100 kilos of ballast.
Charlie Fag is driving around in an Aston Martin that's got the equivalent of a Mini Cooper hanging onto it, 100 kilos on that car, and Charlie Fag is still doing an absolutely astonishing job here, running in the top 6 in the Aston Martin. He is driving the wheels off that thing, doing a fantastic job. Right, here is the ARTA Mugen under pressure now from Matsuda. There was a necessity for Matsuda and Notori to come up with a good result here in this Kondo Nissan with only 1 kilogram on that car in success ballast. If they didn't do something with this weekend, they would have basically needed to pack up and go home. So it's wonderful that we're seeing the Sugio Matsuda we know charging after the leaders, now going for 2nd position. I'd bail out of that one if I were you, Sugio, and he does. He's going to wait and pick his moment a little later on. But now he's going to go for it. Round the outside of 2, tucking in for the inside of 3. Sugio Matsuda drives way away from Hiroki Otsu on sheer exhilaration through turn 2 and up to 3. Mega from Matsuda.
How good is it to see a non-Bridgestone car really fighting for the top positions? We've not seen that in quite a while, as we see Yamashita, he's not far behind Sasaki, but he's now got a train comprising Koide, Nojiri, and the number 64 Nakajima racing car. Takuya Izawa at the wheel of that car, right in the mix. So the Dunlop shod car also performing well as the Yokohama on board, the number 24 Nissan, and also the 19 car looks like it's not also in this group, just behind Izawa in 9th position. So both of the non-Bridgestone tyre manufacturers going good guns here early on at Sugo.
I tell you what, Jamie, it's almost as if, you know, we've had great dry races this year, we've had great wet races this year. It's the threat of rain that's actually brought this race alive. And then Miki Koyama's going to get the move on the inside of Zach O'Sullivan, and Charlie Fag's going with her. Brilliant racing from both of them as Miki Koyama puts herself into 4th position. Such an important race for her to do well, and she's brought the hybrid LC500 up into 4th place with Charlie Fag on her tail. Now we're going to get Shun Koide wheel to wheel with Kenti Yamashita down the straight, and there could be a chance for Najiri round the outside as well. They've got the good smart Mercedes in front of them. Perfect from Koide. Careful, Kenta. You do not want to tag the car as it goes past you. Now Najiri's going to get through. Izawa can end up going through easily as well here. It's going to be 3 in 1. Oh my goodness, the Tom's Toyota plummets from 5th to 8th in about 12 seconds.
And we were talking earlier on about the tyre compound choice being crucial. Well, clearly the number 1 car is not on the right tyre here, because that's not, I don't think that's the fuel flow restrictor. I don't think that can account for the massive gulf in pace. And looking at look at Daiki Sasaki, who's in 4th place, still hanging on to 4th place, but he's 20 seconds off the lead in the space of 15 laps. So that just shows you the pace differential as Kunimoto gets moved on at Yamashita as well. So that's even more positions lost here. So what had looked like a good chance for the number 1 car. Now I wonder if it's at the head of the group of the Bridgestone cars that are on the wrong tyre now, because it doesn't appear to be under any immediate pressure from behind. A little bit of contact there as Koide went past.
Yeah, there was. That's what I thought. I thought there was just a slight bit of paint traded there between Koide and Yamashita, but this is a real difficulty now for Kenti Yamashita. His only comfort, and around the outside, Koide! He's done it again! What a move on Daiki Sasaki. Now he's into P4. That is the best run that the Estemo Civic has had for ages. What a run from Shun Koide.
In the Okayama season opener, I think that's really the only other time I can think of this year where that car's been anywhere in contention. Sasaki clearly struggling now, so he's on the wrong tyre, in inverted commas, I think we can safely say, given how easily Koide got past. I think Nojiri will be next to go through in the very near future, and then it's going to be a case of damage control. Don't forget the cut-off for the first pit stop here is 28 laps for the 1/3 distance marker, 84 laps in total we have in front of us. Will anybody come in before them? Because if you're losing that much pace, it might be tempting for some teams to go to a 1 to 2 stop strategy, which we rarely see in GT500, but desperate times potentially call for desperate measures.
It's a very good point when you consider how much time is being lost. Look, Shun Koide's in 4th position and he's 19 seconds off the race lead. So a 2-stop strategy doesn't sound so insane anymore. Here comes Tomoki Nijiri making his bid over the top of the crest. Can he go right round the outside of Daiki Sasaki in the number 3 Nismo? The Honda suddenly coming alive in this race, because it's not just him on the prowl, it's Izawa as well. Can he pull off the same move that Matsuda pulled off earlier? Yes, he can. Lovely bit of driving from Nijiri. He replicates the move from Matsuda, and here comes Izawa. He's going to try. No, you don't, says Daiki Sasaki. I'm not going to lose 2 positions in quick succession. I think you may not have a choice.
Charlie Fag, by the way, just an update on G200, has got ahead of Miki Koyama, so that's a change from 4th position. So D-Station in a great position to make some major headway, potentially even lead the championship, depending on what happens to the Leon Mercedes. As we see Sakaguchi not seeing that star Toyota in a little while. That's because he's 2.2 seconds to the good, and that gap has come down.
Mercedes, the championship leading car,
and
the championship leading car. Oh my goodness. So the Inging and the Leon Mercedes seem to have come together. That's 2 of the main players in GT300. Let's see what happened. The Panos Ferrari's on the outside, and there's the contact. The Leon Mercedes goes around, and Ibiki Taira's got nowhere to go, but he clouts the back of the Satamoto Opet Supra.
Yeah, the Saitama Toyopet car was caught up in that, so that's really put the cat among the pigeons in the championship, as we see Sasaki's inexorable slide down the field continue by the looks of it, because he's already lost the position to Nojiri. He will be losing it, and you can just see how far ahead, or you can briefly see in that previous shot, just how far ahead Nojiri was, as we see the number 2 car in trouble, looks like a puncher.
Yeah, big damage to the Inging. That's not just put the Leon Mercedes title attack on hot water, it's also put the Inging team under fire. They didn't hit the Leon Mercedes, they hit the back of the Satamoto Opet Supra, but it's damaged big time. Look, they've gone off the circuit now trying to recover. We could end up with a safety car here. He can't get going, he can't keep moving, he's done.
Yeah, he's not going to get up the hill, is he? So that's, I think we are going to get some sort of, it looks like we're going to get a full course yellow for this, as we see, look how close the leaders are now. Good smile, my word, they have just absolutely monstered this, haven't they? With that
how are they that close? Yeah, they've got 100. They've got 100 kilos on that Mercedes, and they have caught up to the Cintium Corsa. I mean, that podium at Sepang is looking like an absolute gold dust podium, isn't it? When both their drivers were away at the Nürburgring 24-hour, they thought, well, this is a compromise we're just going to have to take it, I'm afraid. It's probably going to affect our chances in the championship. Hogwash! Look at them! They are doing an amazing job in 2nd place behind the Corsa. And there's the yellow flag. There we go. Full course yellow around the
yellow.
turns. And that means then that essentially the D-Station Aston Martin now has the advantage over two of its big rivals. The Leon Mercedes pirouetting around after being clouted by the Ponos Ferrari, and the Inging out with big damage after striking the back of the Supra from Green Brave, unable to slow down in time. What a catastrophic moment in the GT300 title race, and what joy that's going to be at D-Station.
Yeah, well, it's a huge opportunity, isn't it? As we see, I'm presuming that's a piece of Inging bodywork that came off in that that incident. But the gap, I think, was only 7.5 points coming into this weekend. So already, if they finish in 4th, then they're assuming that the Leon car doesn't score, although it might still get a few points because the 65 car did look like it got going again, albeit down the field, currently running in 22nd position is Tego Tsugunami, as we see a replay here.
Yeah, there's the first bit of contact. That pirouettes the Mercedes. Now look at the Inging. Look, he's got nowhere to go. He just strikes the back of the Green Brave in the concertina effect as everybody hits the brakes to avoid the initial bit of contact. There's the Leon Mercedes going around. Watch the Inging right to the far left. Nothing they can do about that at all.
I feel like for me that's a racing incident. I don't think I expect to see any penalties for that. Obviously, maybe slightly ambitious from this. I don't think the 65 looked like it was really Tsugunami at the wheel. Almost wasn't attempting a move, really. He was just kind of there because of the way the battle was playing out, and maybe was almost spun. If there was contact with the 45, it was the lightest of contact. I think it was more. Yeah. I think Tsugunami just trying to get out of a tricky situation and just losing control, unfortunately. So he's 22nd, so he's still in the mix for some points. Points down to 15th these days. Don't forget. So that means that it's not guaranteed that the D-Station car will take the lead of the championship as things stand. But Charlie Fagg in with a good chance, and you can see there is the third place, 56. Realised Nissan in the background in the GT200. Then it's Charlie Fagg is next up because he did clear. I think unseen to us, he did clear Miki Koyama.
He did indeed, but that's a big hammer blow for the championship chances of the Inging team. Don't forget, it was 2 years ago that Sportsland Sugo was essentially their chance to strangle the title by the scruff of the neck, and they took it. And unfortunately, on this occasion, it looks like they've been binned out of it. But I agree with you. I don't think there needs to be any penalties given there. It's one of those weird moments. It looked to me like Tsugunami they've already had the punishment of going around and dropping to the back, and the Inging has been collateral damaged. It's not advantage by contact because they didn't hit them.
Exactly, you can't really legislate for that little traffic. Gucci raring to go here. You cannot overtake anybody under a full course yellow situation, but Sekiguchi is making sure that the Subaru driver knows that he's right there. Of course, look at Sugo Matsuda. He's not far behind, actually. Matsuda really
isn't.
Once he cleared Hiroki Otsu for P2, he really caught up quite a bit. So this is the lead battle is on here. So we're talking about Toyota being in a good position for win number 6. Well, it could be back-to-back Nissan wins if Kondo Racing has a word to say in it.
And when was the last time the Kondo Nissan took a victory in Super GT? Way too long is the answer.
16, I think. Is the
exactly.
Is the actual
way
answer
too long.
Rather than the but yes, it has been a very long time for that team, for almost a decade. So let's see what they can do when the FCY goes away. This will obviously help the teams with their fuel saving. Will help some teams go a bit further into their stint. And I do wonder, the teams that are on the right tyre, in inverted commas, will they try and extend? Because we don't know what tyres they have left. Only 4 sets of slicks available. If you haven't got the same compound left in store, you might extend just to give yourself as long as possible on the favoured tyre.
Just to tell you how difficult it's been for Kondo in recent years, Tepe Nitori, who's just got into that car essentially for the 2025 season, his best result in GT500 so far is 8th. That tells you how bad Kondo Nissan have had it over the last few years. In this year alone, their best performance is 8th. Here we go, racing again. We are back to green here at Sportsland Sugo as Sugio Matsuda heads off in charge to try and fight his way past Yui Sekiguchi in the Denso Sard Supra, and this is the battle for the lead in GT300. Hiroki Yoshimoto in the LM Corsa, and bafflingly, the good smart Mercedes, despite having 100 kilos of ballast on board, is right there. This Mercedes AMG, I've seen so many debates online about what is the best GT3 car on the planet right now. Looking at this and looking at what we've seen from the AMG GT3 in the last 5 years, it's hard to argue against this car, isn't it?
I would completely agree. And don't forget, this is a car that was updated last in 2020. So it's not a brand new car like the 296 GT3, which is the newest in the field here. The Evo 2, of course, Lamborghini is relatively new. But the AMG is a bit of an upborn stager already in its 6th season of service. It will be replaced, we believe, in 2027 with an entirely new model that we expect to see released soon. The other thing I want to point out is that it's the exact same chassis that was competing in the Suzuka 1000 competition just a week ago.
Yeah.
And that car had all sorts of misadventures, and Suzuka was involved in a bit of contact at the very end with Kamui Kobayashi. You might have heard of him at the wheel, joining Kataoka and Taniguchi. But the same car, they've managed to turn it around, prepare and get the setup back. Of course, using Pirellis at Suzuka, not Dunlops, some cars using Dunlops, but they're using Yokohamas. And you wouldn't know that there was anything amiss with that car. It's absolutely on song.
Well, it certainly looks like Ren Sato's going to have to wait for his first Super GT 500 victory, but it may not be big a wait for Tepe Nattore in the Kondo Nissan. He keeps putting the pressure, Sugio Matsuda, on Yui Sekiguchi up front. We could get our answer, but now it's time to see what Takuya Izawa can do. We just saw the hands together in prayer for Ricky Okuza back in pit lane, wanting desperately to see if Takuya Izawa in the Modulo Civic can find his way past Daiki Sasaki. And this is quite a crucial opportunity for them as well. It's not just one Civic on the prowl. So are we going to see the Nakajima car get itself further up the ranks? And this has been a difficult season, it has to be said, for the Nakajima crew as well. They haven't exactly had a lot of glory. They come into this weekend with 17 kilos of ballast based on the fact that they had 8.5 points in the championship. But Takuya Izawa has obviously won 7 times in Super GT over the years. The best Ricky Okuza has managed so far is a 6th place finish, and that is currently where they sit. Here comes the good smart Mercedes, using the Kondo Nissan, using the Impul Nissan, I should say, to try and get a little bit of draft there down the straight in the hope that they can get closer to the LC500. This is going to be when Kataoka makes the move, not if.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it? By the way, confirmation that the Leon/Ponos incident from a moment ago is being considered a racing incident, so there won't be any penalty awarded there, which I think is the right decision. As we see the number 100 Honda, I believe it's still the last place car in GT500, with Naoki Yamamoto at the wheel. What a wretched weekend they've had. Tadasuke Makino was forced to abandon his attack lap. Oh, Matsuda's taken the lead.
Wow, Matsuda's in front! Matsuda's got the lead on Sekiguchi. So before we've even reached half distance, we have had a Honda lead the race, we've had a Toyota lead the race, and now we've had a Nissan leading. Absolutely incredible. Here it is, side by side, round the outside as well. Oh my goodness. Sugio Matsuda, the most prolific winner on our current grid, has turned this race about.
I just made a note that 2 laps ago that Matsuda was 3.4 seconds behind Sekiguchi. So did Sekiguchi have an off, or something happened to him that we didn't see? But either way, Matsuda closed down a 3.5 second gap after the FCY amazingly quickly. So I do wonder whether there was some kind of issue for Sekiguchi. But either way, a masterful overtake again by Matsuda. We're only 4 laps away from the pit stop window now. So it's going to be fascinating to see who is going to be first to jump. But certainly for the way that it's going for number 24, as Kato has a little look as they head up into Rainbow Corner, but can't quite make the move there. It's going to be, I think we're going to see some 300 teams in very soon, certainly because they back count the laps they expect to lose. The 500s, they can come in a little bit sooner.
Here we go. If you like lead changes, you're about to get another one as Tatsuya Kataoka has a think about Hiroki Yoshimoto. The LM Corsa stays firm for the time being. It's Lexus versus Mercedes, Japanese GT versus European GT3 whack. And this unbelievable Mercedes AMG just keeps finding more. Absolutely amazing. 100 kilos of success weight ballast on that car, and it's still hampering behind the 60. Just an astonishing run. That car's got 8 kilograms of success ballast on board, and the Mercedes is just nipping at every single radius, every apex that car leaves uncovered. The Mercedes is there to
ここまで引っ張っていたアップガレージが、
いや
そうか、スバルは入れてないんだ。
そうですね。
スバルはチャンス、これ1だったと思うんですけども、一方のアップガレージはおそらくこのフルコセルを見越して、ビットイン、これを狙ってたわけですね。さあ、前者、スロー走行の中、ピットを終えてアップガレージがコースに向かう。これで出てきた時にどこで出てくるか、対象はシンティアムです。シンティアムは今 D ステーションがいますね。
前にはいるんでしょうけれどもね。
D ステーションの
ただこれ内側回れるんで、
これ今 APR が7番手、シェード、
その後ろですよね。これね、
後ろだから7番手で復帰かな。でもだいぶジャンプアップですね。
そうですね。
でしかも温まりはここの今フルコセロある程度使えますからね。FRO がちょっと抜いていくの。FRO すごい遠石使うなこれ。
全然遠石 FRO には関係ないですからね。車高も高いですからね。すいません、余計なことを。
いやいや、今すごい乗ったなと思って。
アグレッシブに攻めてますよね、ドライバーも。
早めにね、このフルコースゲーロも終わらせたいという思いもあるんで。46周目。
多分ね、タイミング合わなかったんですよ、おそらく。
狙ってたんでしょう。そのために引っ張ってた部分もあると思うんですけど。
あったと思います。ただその前にもピット入ってたから。
いや、入ってないんですよ。まだスバル BRZ と RQ は入ってないんです。あと後ろでパシフィックも入ってませんけど。
今日山内スタートだ。
そうなんですよ。
でもね、これ
もレースですからね。
レースですからね。
フルコースイエローで今、スバル BRZ がトップ。2位の、ただ、どうでしょうね。シンティアムがどこにいるんですか？これパシフィックでコーンピット入ってなくて、その後ろに500がデロイト以下充実つなぎ。これすごいな。これレーススタート、っていうか再開の時、ここ、
リスタートね。
後ろの PRS も含めて、これやばいですね。営業部署にいますけど。
パシフィック、これ緊張しますよ。
譲るじゃないですか、後ろ500。
いや、譲るんですけど、5連発、5連発ね、すごい勢いでね、突っ込んでくるわけじゃないですか。嫌ですよね。
嫌ですね。今、スバルとシンティアムの差が35秒。このペースで35秒なんで、スバルとしてはちょっとこれ、レースペース戻っちゃったら厳しいんでしょうね。
ですね。で、この中、今、そうですね、スタンレー、エネオス、この軍団の中では、スタンレーが一番タイヤがフレッシュ
ですね。
で、今このスローダウンによって、タイヤ温度がみんな消えたって考えると、有利になるのはスタンレーが一番ダッシュは決めやすいかなと。昨日は狙ってるでしょ
う。そうですか。デロイト、ジュリアン・アレジ、マキノ、スタンレー、
そんな
大島エネオス。
ね、狙ってる連中の真ん前に。
パシフィック。
これは嫌だろうな。
そうですね。
こういうレースですけどね。
アイドルマスターのね、ドアに書いてある絵の笑顔が引きつりそうですね、これね。
涙出てんじゃないですか、
今。言ってください。まだ解除にはなります。今はね、水和田が乗せられたんですね。
もうでもね、このまままた田広ですからね。
これ後ろ下がればいいだけですよね。
安田もスッと
入れてたらね。
やっぱりタイヤがなかったから。
そうもいかなかったんでしょう。
これどこ行くんだろう。
どこ行くんだろう。バックするんじゃない？
あれもバックしたら
高麗でしたね。
終われるんですけどね。
今47周目です。残りは38を。さあ、FCY 解除です。4、3、2、1。さあ、解除です。加速がいいのは、パシフィックの横、各社が通っていく。太陽を温めるジュリアーノ・アレジ、後ろから牧野。その後ろ、大島。そしてウェッツ。坂口聖奈が TRS に迫る。おっと。ちょっとブロックでしたが、なんとか平峰が守った。その後ろから坪井が来る。英雄坪井。パシフィックはことなくやりました。
そうですよね。
つながりましたね。
場所も良かったですね。ちょうどバックストレートでね。
譲りやすかった場所ですね。はい。さあ、デロイト、スタンレー、エメオス、ティアレス、ウェッツ、英雄の隊列は結局変わらずでした。8番手から12番、13番手までの争いです。残りは37周です。まだまだレースは長い。こちらがデンソートップ、サッシャ・フェネストラス。
まあ、デンソーは今もうこれ快調ですね。ただ2位、3位争いがこれそろそろ白熱しそうですよ。
リアライズのペースいいですか？
うん、いいですね。しかもタイム差が 1.3 秒まで迫っている。
はい。確かにセクター3コンマ2秒早いですね。リアライズの方がステロイド。セクター4、最終セクターはまあ似てるのかな。大きくクラッシュシェードとかなりの部品が散らばっているが。
いや、これ、何の車だわからないぐらいフロントが。
あれか。モデューロか。
モデューロだ。
モデューロですね。
しかも左前。ドライバー大丈夫かな、これ。
ちょっと心配ですね。伊沢ですよね。
いや、これちょっとドライバーが。
大丈夫かな、モデューロ。
心配ですね。
でも手動いてますね。今、私の方から見えてるんですけど、手が動いてますね。
動いてますね。
はい。
ただこれ多分自分。
降りれます。自分で降りる。伊沢が今自分で降りてますね。
大丈夫か。
大きさですね。ごめんなさい、大きさ力ですね。
いや、よかった。
大丈夫ですね。はい。大きさ、大丈夫です。大きさ力今降りて、ピットウォールのところにいます。はい。大丈夫そう。よかった。
よかった。
まずはよかった。ただ大きく車は大破。で、反対側シェードのこれ煙上がってるのも大丈夫ですかね。
そうですね。シェードはこれドライバー降りてないのかな。
どうなんですかね。かなり煙が上がってますが。今この放送席の
消火器かな。違うか。違うな。
消火器の煙だそうです。大きく。いや、これホームストレートでクラッシュですか？
そうですね。これまあ予想するに、
はい。
シェードを追突する形でモデューロが。
500ですからね、モデューロはね。シェードは300なんで。
多分明けですからね、この FCY 明けで加速してって、何らかのところで登り切ったらシェードがスローダウンしてたとか。
なるほど。
シェード降りてますね。ドライバー降りてます。
ドライバー降りてる。ということは両方とまずドライバーは大丈夫です。
よかったですね。
まずはグッドニュース。ただ大きく破損が。
これ多分ね、大草はね、おそらくその、バックストレート上り坂から上り切るまで前が見えないんで、
前が D ステーションも止まってません、後ろで。
止まってますね。
今 D ステーションドライバーでしたよね。
はい。
なんと、ここまで絶好調だった D ステーションもストップ。3台が絡んでるんですか？
そうですね。
こ
れ D ステーションとモデューロが絡んだのかな？
今これ。
で、それを避けようとしてシェードが煽りを食ったみたいな。
藤井友信ですよね。ですから救急車も一応来てますが。
でもこれ D ステーションに追突してるな。D ステーション、リアが大破してるんで。ちょっとわからないです。
シェードと、今分かってるのは、シェード、D ステーション、それにモデューロ。
の3台がストップです。
このホームストレート上で大きく、大破してるのはモデューロ。後ろ D ステーションも後方が壊れている。さあ、VTR 見ていきましょう。もうここで、あれシェードと D ステーションが当たって、 で、避けた、うわー、ピット入り口のところで、モデュールは避けられなくて、
その前にも D ステーション止まってるんだね。
はい、止まってますね。だから D ステーションまずシェードが当たって、シェードが弾かれて右に行って、
はい、そ
それを右から避けようとしたモデュールが行き場を失ってピットレーンの入り口のところのタイヤバリアに思いっきり当たったと。うわ、これ、あ、で、さらに1台後ろ。シェードの後ろが1台いますね。これでも、大草無事でよかった。赤旗です。
まあ、これはもうちょっと一回中断しないとですよね。
残り35周でレース中断、赤旗です。
まあちょっとね、デブリもカーボンパーツも散らってますから、これは一回ちょっとリセットしないと。
車も、それと、あとピット入り口のこのガードレールと、
そうですね、そこもダメージありますからね。
タイヤウォールみたいなところを直さないといけないですよね。セーフティーカーが今、来ましたけど。
これでも D ステーションとシェードがなぜ接触したのかっていうのがね。
まあ、オーバーテイクしようとしたんですがね。ただ、多分位置的には、直接争ってたのかな。
そうですよね。ポジション的にはちょっと違うところを走ってた2台には、
はい。
思うんですが、いやでもちょっとドキッとしたな。本当に。
まずドライバーが無事で何より
です。何よりですね。
大草力と、そして、藤井智信。そして平中ですかね、シェードが。
平中ですかね、はい。
はい、3人はとりあえず無事という、まあ今のところね、もちろんメディカルチェック受けなきゃいけないと思うんですけれども、
まあね、
自分では動けてますからね。
で、まあ走ってピットには行ってたんで、
はい、
大丈夫だとは思うんですけど。
いやー、ちょっとショッキングな映像でした、リプレイ。さあ、ということで、赤旗で今、レース一時中断ということになりました。
これでもちょっと回収、修復に時間を要しそうですよね。
そうですか。
はい。
レースは赤旗クラッシュ、多重クラッシュにより赤旗今中断です。まあ、このホームストレートのちょうど坂上がってくるところだったので、レース映像を捉えたのが、その手前で何が起きていたかですよね。最終コーナーの立ち上がりのところですか。
登り切る手前で D ステーションがああやって止まってるってことは、
はい。
そこでもう登り切る前に何か、
接触がおそらくシェードと D ステーションであったということですよね。この1個手前のカメラでどうなってたかということですよね。
もうこの時点で、ね、上がってくるところでも接触しちゃってるんで。はい、
で、これでシェードが来ると。
接触した後にこれですからね。
で、当たっちゃったんで、そのままこのピット入り口のところで、
うわ。いや、でも、これ。相当な衝撃です
ね。奥さん、何が起きたか分かんないような状況だったと思いますけどね。で、シェードの後ろ、初音ミクかな避けようとして止まっただけでしたね。はい。さあ、各社今、ホームストレート戻ってきまして、500、300で隊列を作って待っています。いやー、かなり。
そうですね。
はい、びっくりしましたが。藤井と、そして平中、さらに大草はひとまず立ち上がって車から離れています。赤旗中断です。レースは残り34周というところで赤旗中断です。まあ、ドクターカーも走ってますので、一応ドライバーの確認もするということですかね。さあ、今、セーフティーカーからもドライバーが降りました。各ドライバーもおそらく降りるものと思われます。赤旗で、ちょっと中断がしばらくありそうですので、そうですね。まあ、この前の最終コーナーのこの、右のね、上がりながらのコーナーで、
そうですね。まあ、その手前がね、何があったかですね、本当ね。 まあ、少なくともその、D ステーションと、精度が接触が何がしかあったかなと。それによって当然、D ステーションは左に止まっていて、で、そこに大きさが出くわしたということですね。
大きさは多分、イン側から行こうとしたら急にシェードがさらにインに絞ってきちゃったんで、もう行き場がなくて、避けられた精一杯が、そのままフィニッシュまで行こうみたいな話でしたね、今ね。ただ、伝送にするとちょっと差がなくなっちゃったんでね。
そうですね。
後ろのアステモとリアライズに迫られる形でレース再開を迎えるということになると思うんですね。
逆に言うと、リアライズはここで挽回のチャンスが生まれて、アステモもそうですし、チャンスが生まれてますね。ただね、今日佐藤強力ですからね。でも、デッドヒートが見れるとは思いますね。ただこれ修復結構時間かかるから、ね、最大延長まで、どうしてもこれ行ってしまうのかな、おそらく今日は。
Quite a few of them, of course. If you've had issues with your stream, we apologize. We are now on top of the situation, and hopefully the rest of the race coverage.
Hi guys, my name is Jason. My name is Italo, and I am the admin of the channel. I was so proud of you because it was my first time streaming a series like this. So I want to say thank you for all you to give me the opportunity to have so much people like you in my stream. So thank you for all. Thank you for the support. I think it's struggling, but I wish to be a good transmission. So let's go. Let's keep. Let's keep the stream. So I think will be a greatest race till now. So come on, let's make that.
in the afternoon here in Japan. The sun does set relatively early here, especially in this part of the country, in the east, the northeast Tohoku region. So I would, we can't say for sure that the same pattern will repeat itself. Of course, different tyres will warm up at different rates. All that hard work that Fenestraz did to to nurse his tyres back up to temperature, of course, now is thrown in the bin, and he's going to have to do all that again with Sugo breathing down his neck. He won't have a 17-second advantage to manage. He's going to have to be on it from the word go. But it's a fascinating race we have in store now in some ways, because we've got still have the 3 500 manufacturers, all with a car in the top 3. We've got, sadly the Dunlop car is no longer a factor, but we've got 2 different makes of tyre, Bridgestone and Yokohama, and as we've seen, a lot of variation even among the Bridgestone tyre users. So it's certainly, you'd say, any of the top 3 or 4 perhaps could be
どのドライバーが最後に笑顔となるのか。2025オートバックスーパー GT ラウンド6 GT300 キロです。まずは500のスタート。ARTA 後ろから伝送が迫る。
We seem to have the Japanese commentary overlapping in my earpiece. I'm sure you probably have as well in yours, JP. Slight difficulty. We'll try and negate it so that we're not talking cross purposes. But it's worth pointing out as well, while we've got this opportunity, while the race replays on your VTR. This is a replay, by the way, folks. It's not live pictures, because we're under red flag conditions if you've only just joined us. But it's worth pointing out here as well that we haven't just got a handful of laps to go when this race restarts. We've almost got a full stint. We've got 34 laps still to go in this race, so there is a heck of a lot that is going to happen here still before the end of
absolutely a long way to go still, so plenty of time for tyres to drop off if they're not compound for the conditions we have now. So yeah, it's all to play for. There's no going to be waiting around.
そしてスバルビアルゼット、今コースインですね。
because there is
そうね、大きく遅れてるんですけどね。
2周目に入ります。ほぼ1周ラップダウンに近いところですね。
そうですね。
ただこの方がタイヤが長い意味では良いということを判断したと思われます。スバルビアルゼット。さあここは後ろですね。
very nearly. It's a very good point. And so we've already had some big dramas this weekend here at Sugo. There was the first of them on the J-Lock Lamborghini. If I'd have known how much drama was going to befall after that, then it would have been a fascinating scenario to get ready for. But there's been all sorts of dramas now over the course of the last 2 hours or so. It's already flown by this race, but there's still quite a bit of it left to go. It's been quite interesting to see the dramatic change in fortunes for the #1 Tom's Toyota, how they just plummeted backwards through the field. But look, even as early as lap 1, lap 2, we had drama in this one, and it's a real testament to the drivers out there in the different categories that it took until, well, what are we now? Lap 50. I'm trying to figure out what lap we're on now, because the time screen has gone down. What was it? Lap 500 runners. Yes, indeed. So to get that far without anything majorly drastic like that. Yes, we did have a couple of full course yellows prior to that. But I'm impressed considering how tight-natured the circuit is here at Sugo, how aggressive the racing was, how many overtaking moves there were in both categories, how fierce the battles were, that it took as long as that for anything drastic to happen.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, really, isn't it? Because we had the weather impacted race last year, which was relatively clean as I recall. And then, sort of big crash in the Yamamoto and Natori. The year before that, we had a wet race back in 2022 as well. So it's like we can't have a dry race here. It's
a good point.
Interesting years. So yeah, it's I mean this the crash 2 years ago. It's not going to get underway anytime soon. But the crash 2 years ago.
なんかちょっと調子が悪くて、アタックがちゃんとできなかったという話なんですけれども、
GTA is
今もペースついていけてないでしょうね。山本がもう3秒離されています。
はい、そのスタンレーなんですけども、昨日のですね、予選のアタックの時に、何かこれまで感じたことないようなですね、不安定さがあったので、アタックをあえてやらなかったということですね。それで今日ですね、その原因を探りつつのウォームアップで、タイムが一応7番手でしたが、出たんですね。だからもう安心だというふうに監督はおっしゃってたんですけども、こういう状況になってますね。
またなんか出たんですかね。ちょっと心配なスタンレーです。さて、こちらはベッテリーと初見君。
we're back at the same speed we were before. Now, do we need to fight about the game? With the debate now, GTA is going to have. But
これ前出たら引き離しそうだ。
そういう感じですね、今ね。はい。
It's hard to really pass comment without having seen how the crash started.
共に
But it's probably more about how to manage the situation when you have 500 overtaking 300s.
But it's certainly been a dramatic one so far. If you're only just joining us, we're under red flag conditions here. So a fantastic situation for all of the magnificent battles that we've had in this race thus far. We're under red flag conditions after an accident that befell us on lap 50, or just before lap 50, I should say, between the D-Station Racing Aston Martin of Tomonobu Fuji and the Shade Racing GR86 that both ended up big time off the road for Katsuyuki Hironaka. Riki Okusa trying to take avoiding action, went to the right side perhaps rather than the left side, you would say, to try and avoid the car. But you've got to make a split-second decision when you've got a car basically leering sideways in front of you. A fraction of a second to make that decision, and Riki Okusa struck the side of the Shade Racing car and plowed into the pit lane entry tyre barrier. So it's pretty nasty to see how that all came undone and how it came unstuck. The reason we are under delay and the reason why you're seeing delayed repeat pictures of the start of the race is because it looks as though we're going to be under red flag for quite some time here. Not because anybody's in any harm's way, because I should point out that Katsuyuki Hironaka, Tomonobu Fuji and Riki Okusa are all perfectly okay. There are no injuries. The biggest problem at the moment appears to be the guardrail on the far side of the circuit. There is a big bend in that guardrail, and that's probably the contact that came from the D-Station Aston Martin. That has caused some big difficulties for the officials because, of course, they've got to repair that barrier before we go racing again. That's got to be a very fast job, although it's not an easy job, Jamie, and because of the curfew that we've got here, there's still 34 laps to run. As you said yourself, the time is difficult because the sun does set quickly here. Got to be very careful about how we're actually going to end this race.
The maximum time that the race can end is, or the latest time the race can end is 4:30 p.m. So that's still an hour and 13 minutes away. So it's not, we may still get the race in that time, but there's also a possibility we won't. As well as the guardrail on the left-hand side of the circuit, there's also the sort of the tyre stack leading into the guardrail on the pit entry, which might, whether that guardrail was damaged, also is a possibility. So potentially two areas of the circuit that need work, and of course, we saw last year with Super Formula guardrails being damaged, and the race basically called off for that reason. Of course, very wet conditions. At least today we're in the dry. So we're hearing just from the circuit commentator Pierre Kitagawa. The next few minutes about the restart.
As we see a replay of the early stages of the battles on your screens, Hiroki Yoshimoto, I was so impressed with the way that the Syntium crew have dealt with this race. They're still technically in the hunt, don't forget, because they will take the lead of the race once again when Hideki Yamauchi brings the Subaru into the pits for their pit stop soon after the restart. But now the advantage that they had is washed away. And look who we've got lining up behind them when all the pit stops are finished. We'll have Jabal Lima Oliveira in the Kondo Nissan. We'll have Harry King in the 7x7 Porsche. He's now right in the mix. Takashi Kobayashi in the up garage, having made that jump at the last full course yellow. Nobutaro Taniguchi in the good smile. Oliver Rasmussen somehow is still in that, having dodged the carnage of the red flag. And Ryoichiro Tomita is next up in the Gain in Nissan. So there's quite a shuffle of the deck in GT300. When this race restarts, we could have Jabal Lima Oliveira in the Kondo Nissan going for the victory. Hell, if we get it in GT500 as well, Kondo Nissan could win twice.
Well, yes. Well, that would be a real turn up the books, wasn't it? Because I think last time the GT500 Kondo car won a race, 2016, the Kondo GT300 car didn't exist because that car only made its debut in 2019. So that definitely would be a first. Of course, it has been done by teams such as ARTA that have had double wins, so it's not completely unheard of for a team to win in both classes. Of course, that team now, ARTA, does not have the GT300 car in its arsenal because they've decided that they would rather have a second car in GT500. And that's benefited them because that's the car that was on pole position and is in some kind of contention for the win, albeit fourth place, Nobuharu Matsushita just behind Rensato in P5. So I feel like sort of Matsushita downwards are maybe the biggest winners in all this, because there was a huge gap time-wise between the top four and the rest, basically, that's now being reset. So Matsushita, Chio, Alesi up to P7, Makino P8. These are all cars that now suddenly have the sniff of a much better result than they had just 15 or 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, the red flags came out at the end of lap 50, so there's still 34 laps of this race. Essentially, a fairly aggressive stint on tyres to go. But obviously, most of the teams came in at the 34 laps in point rather than the 34 laps to go point. So it's going to make it fascinating. And those teams that left it late, well, they have got the slight upper hand of having a little bit less. But obviously, most of the teams came in at the 34 laps in point rather than the 34 laps to go point. So it's going to make it fascinating. And those teams that left it late, well, they have got the slight upper hand of having a little bit less cooked into their tyres. So I'm looking at the Saab Toyota there. I'm looking at the Kondo Nissan. They actually have the advantage on this restart when we do get going again, because their tyres will be nowhere near as spent as those around them. And that could be the key factor that gives us the winner.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. So number 39 was in on lap 42. But then you have to go all the way back to lap 28 for the number 17. That was actually the first. Now, so quite a big delta there, 14-lap delta. You would think that would play into the hands of Fenestraz. But then again, it just depends on I think more than the wear rate, I think it's just, do the tyres match the conditions? That's the million-dollar question. How the conditions will change.
And while we're speaking about tyres, actually, Jamie, you mentioned earlier in the race that the amount of drop-off that we were getting from the first stint, that 2 stops would potentially maybe even have to be considered. Now, this red flag takes away that necessity to a certain extent. There's nobody crazy enough now with this red flag to go for a second pit stop, because anybody that takes a second pit stop now will drop to the back of the field. But any team that we're looking cautious about the possibility of having a second pit stop, they are going to be panicking like crazy now to see if their tyres will even last the rest of the race.
Yeah, if you stopped now, you'd be going a lap down. So that's obviously not good. But I think for the teams, when I mentioned that possibility, you would need to commit to that early. Let's say after 10 laps, you go, okay, these tyres are not working. But then again, that's an extremely bold gamble to make, because then you've got to do a pit stop later, and there could be a safety car. So that I'm not surprised that nobody went for it, even though I did sort of float it as a suggestion. But yes, you're absolutely right, Jake. There's no way you can make that strategy work now.
So that's done and dusted, but there are going to be a few teams that will be praying that in the last 10 laps, they can actually get their tyres to a decent position, because now that we've got this red flag and the field is backed up, you could be sitting there in 4th or 5th position now, but if the tyres aren't going to go the distance, you could drop to 12th very, very quickly around this circuit.
So it seems that the delay is a little bit longer than we thought, because just heard again from circuit commentator Pierre Kitagawa that there's no information that we were kind of half promised. Yes, of course. For the viewers at home, apart from any information we get from that source, you'll notice that the VTR logo will disappear. You'll see all the cars lined up on the start-finish straight. That will be the key, or that will be the clue rather, to show that the race is going to get underway again shortly. But as long as we have this VTR, then that obviously means that the J Sports, the local production crew for J Sports, do not believe that the race is getting underway again anytime soon.
Yeah, it's good for them, because we can obviously have some downtime and wait for the reaction, because they can run the VTR in the Japanese language and not have to do any work for the next 20 minutes or so. You and I, of course, still have to sit here and allow everybody to be aware of the situation as it unfolds. What we can tell you is that the guardrail is currently being repaired on the crest of the rise, but there's a lot of damage to it, and there's even more damage, of course, to the pit entry, because that was a hefty impact that Ricky Okusa had almost head on into the pit lane entry barrier. And at that speed, it doesn't matter how much protection of tyres you've got around the pit entry wall, it's going to be catastrophic. And so there's not just one point of barrier repair needed here, there's two. So this could be another 10 laps of the VTR that you get to see again before we go racing once more. We will stay with you, of course, here on Motorsport TV and keep you up to date with any news that we get. But the pictures that you're seeing on your screen are of the race earlier on. For those of you who didn't get the chance to see it because you had stream difficulties, well, at least you'll get the chance to see it again before we go racing. But yeah, a proper headache, and we'll get to analyze some of the key moments as they appear on our screen, of course, Jamie. But holding the fort when we're getting snippets of information, never easy.
Yeah, it's information is hard to well, there's very little of it basically. We're not that much wiser than you watching at home. Actually, if you have access to social media, then it's possible that you will see the information not long after it becomes available. We don't really have, the only information we have here in the media centre, just to sort of paint a picture, is the local monitors, one of which shows the timing, which will display any messages from race control. That's how I am able to tell you about things like penalties and investigations. And then the local monitor with the same picture.
Hi guys, I'm here again. I was here to say please to you to send a like, to give a like in the stream, because it's for free, right? So please, it's just one button, one touch. So please, come on, take a like in the stream. I will say thank you for all what is doing this. Let's watch the race. It's in red flag, but in some moments in the future will be in green flag. So come on.
Going to take a while for this race to still unravel and unfold.
Like
so it's not done by any stretch of the imagination at all. These battles early on were fantastic, though, weren't they? Shin Koide really starting to showcase why Honda picked him up and put him into one of the big teams in GT500. He'd already put on some good performances in GT300 prior to that. But it's a lot to entrust these cars to a young whippersnapper, especially when you consider that these cars, although they look fairly boxy and fairly beefy, they are quicker over one lap than a hypercar in the World Endurance Championship, which is astonishing when you think about just how much goes into these machines. But it's the fact that they are so much in terms of torque. It's the torque that really makes these cars so impressive. So very exciting to see what the Astemo Real Honda team have been able to do with this and put themselves into second position ready ahead of this restart, with the Kondo Nissan of Tepe Natori now lined up behind them in third. One thing I do also want to talk about while we're in sort of reflectory mode here, we talked about the drop-off of the Toyota teams for the Tom's Toyota of Shotsuboi. They've dropped all the way back to 12th place on this restart, with the rookie car in 9th place. So they are going to take some decent points off them if this race continues going the way it is for them. But the other team that's really plummeted, the number 3 Nismo, the car of Daiki Sasaki and Atsushi Miyake, that was fighting for the win at one stage, and now they have plummeted all the way to 13th of the 14 cars left.
Yeah, not a race saver for that car that started way up in third on the grid. But that was probably the car more than any other that struggled for pace in the early phases, just because of being on the wrong, it appears at least, on the wrong compound of Bridgestone tyres. And of course, there are plenty to choose from. You've got a whole menu of compounds and construction. So even though we have 12 of the 15 GT500 cars on Bridgestones, they do not all have the same type of tyre for the race, because they have to choose from the menu, very extensive menu. So that's I think that's the story there for the number 3 car. Just to let you know that if we are getting up against the maximum race restart time, we need to complete 63 laps to get the 75% distance requirement fulfilled for maximum points to be awarded.
And that's what we want. We want full points wherever possible. This half point for the various teams that have picked up half a point early in the season is very unsatisfactory, isn't it? It doesn't quite sit well with us when we're trying to do our math. But certainly for everybody out here, it's going to make for a very interesting battle. Kondo and Astemo Real Honda teams are obviously hoping we get started as soon as possible, because 34 laps left definitely gives you more time to play with to take on the Denso Sard Supra, particularly in the wake of the Kondo Nissan team. They are within 34 laps of taking a win, their first for 9 years. So sooner rather than better certainly suits them down in P3.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be anxious to get back underway, of course. I mean, a lot of teams have half points because the Fuji sprint race, of course, awarded 2 lots of half points. And so they didn't come up with a separate point scale for the sprint race. They just gave us half points. So that's why we have so many, including the 2 leading cars in the championship, both on half points. And there's the leading car in the 300 standings. If you didn't see that earlier, that was a car that's hit trouble, but of course nothing like the trouble that would later befall the D-Station Racing Aston Martin, their big rival in the points. I was just actually having a little look at the standings to see who might be in a position to profit. I think it's Good Smile, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Even though they're not right at the head of the order, but they're the highest position car that hasn't had any major trouble, basically, followed by the car guy Ferrari, funnily enough.
Yeah, indeed. It is indeed. And the car guy Ferrari, where they find themselves now, well, Rikuta Kobayashi is all the way back in 27th overall. So that's going to put them into 12th place. So they are looking to score a point. But yeah, big drama when you consider that Neue Gabu is not looking at a point score, and neither is the D-Station Aston. That's twice now this year that the D-Station Aston was looking on course to take the lead of the championship, and it's been ripped away from them at the last moment. Very harsh season they're having in the grand scheme of things. And that was the Inging car dropping out of the race after the contact when they went into the back of the Green Brave Supra. Completely not their fault, of course. The concertina effect of trying to get out of the way of the spinning Leon Mercedes that dropped them out of contention. So the championship cars in GT300 essentially are dropping like flies. It kind of feels a little bit like the Australian Grand Prix of '95, when anybody that was into the top 3 was essentially dropping out of the race left, right and centre. Only Damon Hill survived in that one. He actually won the Grand Prix by 2 laps, which is the only time in the, I want to say modern era, but 1995 isn't exactly the modern era anymore, isn't it? But certainly in the last 30 years where anybody has won a Grand Prix by that distance. So that incident brought out the full course yellow for the first time. tells you how big the accident damage is under red flags that we've been showing the VTR for the first 19 laps of the race. Before we've gone back to live pictures again. It's not for injuries if you've only just joined us. It is for damage to the barriers on both sides of the start-finish straight as an incident involving the Shade Racing of Katsuyuki Hironaka and the Aston Martin from D Station Racing of Tomonobu Fuji resulted in avoiding action from the Nakajima Honda of Riki Okuza, who struck the side of the Shade Racing car at full speed and ploughed into the pit lane entry barrier. So there's damage on both guardrails now on either side of the start-finish line, which is why we are showing repeated pictures of the initial part of the race. I do wonder, it's a horrible thing to say, but I do wonder if we're going to get to the moment when we go red flags before we go racing again. And that would be catastrophic if that's the case. But in terms of
we need to do 13 lap once we get underway again, as we see
well, that is a hefty impact on the Inging. I wasn't sure at the time whether they'd actually got that much damage, but when you see it again in slow motion, you can see that by hitting the Green Brave Super in front, they actually went airborne by about 3/4 of an inch, and at that speed, it's no surprise they ended up retiring from the race.
You almost say lucky that the Green Brave car wasn't worse.
That's true.
Too badly there.
It's a strong rear splitter, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. So that's in some ways, though, you would say that's that's okay. Leon Mercedes. I'm just looking to see where that car is in the order. It's P16, so not quite in the points, but they will gain a couple of positions when those last couple of cars that didn't stop come in. And so it is a bit of a get out of jail free card for them, I would say, in some ways, with the D Station car. And so, because if you look at the gap back to Good Smile Racing, it is 16.5 points. Doesn't look like Good Smile's going to finish as high up the order here, or high enough up the order to gain that many points. Of course, we have a new point scoring system in GT300 this year, but I think that it will probably see the Leon car still in the lead of the points, basically, especially if we don't go to the full distance. Then that almost guarantees it.
So if you've only just joined us, we are currently under red flag conditions at Sportsland Sugo. You're watching repeated pictures of the first stage of the race after an incident that involved 3 cars on the start-finish line. Everybody is okay. That's the good news. But the barriers do need extensive repair work. We're going to have an amazing restart when we do get going again with all 3 manufacturers, Toyota, Honda and Nissan, in the hunt for the victory. We've got the Saad Toyota leading the way with Sasha Fenestraz at the wheel. So everybody watching over in Argentina, this is potentially your moment to celebrate today. Kudo Tsukakoshi and Tepe Nitori, though, in the real Honda and Kondo Nissan are right on his tail on the restart. And that was an 8 to 9 second gap that they had built up after the pit stops that is now essentially washed away. So the pressure is definitely going to be on. And the big question on this restart is going to be Bridgestone or Yokohama. What's going to have the staying power for the second half of this race? The ARTA Mugens are next up. That's Ren Sato and Nobuharu Matsushita. Katsumasa Chiyo, the man who took victory away from Toyota's winning streak last time out in partnership with his teammate Mitsunobu Takaboshi last time out at Suzuka. They are 6th position. The Tom's Super of Giuliano Alesi is now in 7th place ahead of Tanosuke Makino in the Kunomitsu Stanley Honda. Kazuya Oshima in the 2nd place in the championship in the Enios rookie car alongside his teammate Nino Fukuzumi. They are in 9th position at the moment. And then it is Kazuki Hiramine along with his teammate Bertrand Baguette, of course, in the Impul Nissan. Senda Sakaguchi in the Wetsport Bando car, 11th on the road. Shotsuboi way down in 12th position. For once, the Tom's Toyota looks out of sorts here at Sugo with its 100 kilograms of success ballast and its stage 3 fuel flow restrictor. But we think neither of those things are the cause of why they are dropping back. We think it is a tyre issue that is causing causing them significant problems. Atsushi Miyake may have a similar problem in his Nismo number 3, down in 13th position. And Toshiki Oyu is the last of the GT500 cars running in the keeper Toyota, because Riki Okusa in the Nakajima Honda is one of the cars involved in the red flag incident. So while we are still waiting and still looking at VTR pictures of the incident going on, we've talked our way through the GT500 running order and the significance of it.
Sorry,
information,
if I can
Jamie.
Jake. 4 o'clock restart. That's what we're hearing now. 4 o'clock.
Well, that is in
restart,
21 minutes time. Okay.
20 minutes. So it is going to be a dash to the flag. I don't think we're not going to get all 34 laps in 30 minutes, because they will start behind the safety car, of course. So that already adds a few minutes on. So we should get the 75% distance, but we will be racing against the clock. And we will only have 30 minutes to get the laps in, so I expect we're going to get maybe we're going to get to around lap 75 or so in that time, lap 76. I think that's assuming the course is no more safety cars or things like that. Hopefully everybody will be on their best behaviour for the final part of the race.
So we'll only go about 8 or 9 laps short of the full distance, and that is, of course, the significant factor for full points, because that will get us past the 75% mark, which is 63 laps of duration. So that at least takes us to full points. It may not be the full distance, but it should take us to full points, which is the significant factor. We've talked our way through the GT500 field as it currently stands, and what the ramifications are potentially on the restart. Jamie, why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown as to how things currently stand in GT300, because there's quite a significant shuffle of the deck from the grid, and it could shuffle again before the end.
It's been a roller coaster ride all round, hasn't it? So Hideki Yamauchi currently leading in the Subaru, but that's a car that's yet to make it stop, so you can pretty much eliminate them from the equation. So it's Shinsuke Kono leading the way in the Sintim LM Corsa Lexus. Second place net is JP Oliveira in the number 56 Kono Racing Nissan. Third place net, again behind the R.06 Mercedes that's yet to stop, is Harry King in the 7x7 Porsche. Then it's the Up Garage Mercedes that got in to pit under that full course yellow, which was a huge advantage for them. That's now a net P4 ahead of the Good Smile Mercedes and the APR Lexus. So that's the state of play in GT300. Of course, the pit stop penalties now are no longer a consideration, because all apart from the Subaru and the R.06 Mercedes, everybody else has made their pit stop. So it is a straight dash to the flag from that perspective. So it's going to be a straight battle between Kono, De Oliveira. What can Harry King do? I mean, a podium looks like it's in the offing at the very least, but perhaps there's a chance for even more. We saw Tsubasa Kondo in the car for the first part of the race. Harry King, of course, getting on board for his first race at Sugo. And he's been a real asset to that team since he came on board. He did the Fuji Sprint race, was his first, let's say, real outing, because he did only a couple of laps at round 2 for the Golden Week race, and then we had and then of course at Suzuka, where we had King and Kondo again as the combination. And so King will be looking to try and continue that momentum. But this is by far the best that car has looked. So we've got 18 minutes left. We'll presumably have the VTR carrying on for a little bit of time to come yet. This was the brief phase of the race where the 24 Kondo Nissan actually led after getting ahead of the Sard Toyota. And this was the battle for the lead in 300 between Hiroki Yoshimoto, who's now handed over to Shinsuke Kono, and the Good Smile Racing Mercedes of Kataoka. That, of course, was one of the cars that lost out in the pit stops, because it was having that extra penalty with the pit stop penalty, the pit stop refuel restrictor, which is a new feature of G300 for this year. So all the cars capped at 50 kilograms of physical ballast. The rest is made up by various degrees of extra time in the pit. So the Good Smile Mercedes was one of those, because that is one of the cars on the maximum nominal 100 kilos. So they're not actually lugging around 100 extra kilos of physical ballast.
最終コーナーの立ち上がりをね遅らせるようにその手前からこう仕掛けていってるのが今片岡の攻め方ですね。
そうですか。はい、さあその最終コーナーに入りました。ここからは上り坂。仕掛けられるか。
So just looking at the lap times that we had from before the stoppage, we had lap times in the sort of 1:13 range. So I'm sort of trying to calculate roughly how many laps we can expect to actually get in the remaining time, which will be not the work of a moment. So bear with me while I make that calculation. I think Jake is has exited the virtual commentary box for a short while during this break. There's a car guy racing Ferrari that we saw leading the early stage.
Guys, we have a little update. The race will start in 50 minutes, so just calm down. In 50 minutes, we'll be back to the race in live.
That was the move that put Sekiguchi back in the lead after he briefly lost it to Sugo Matsuda. And I think Jake is back in the commentary box.
Indeed. Yeah, this was a fantastic battle between Matsuda and Sekiguchi, two of the best old hands at the game in Super GT. It was wonderful to see these two really mixing it. But this GT 300 victory, this is so difficult to predict now that we've had the red flag, because we've got Hideki Yamauchi on lap 47 about to make his pit stop, because of course he and Masaki Kano at RQs haven't even made their pit stop yet, and we're about to go back into racing again. So the Subaru and the RQs Mercedes are going to plummet to the back of the field. But look at the candidates we've suddenly got now for the win. Shunsuke Kono in the LM Corsa. We've got the Kondo Racing of Gianpaolo Lima d'Oliveira in good form, and it's very hard to negate a win away from Gianpaolo Lima d'Oliveira when his dander's up. Harry King and a Porsche, I mean, it just spells victory these days, doesn't it? But Harry King has yet to do so in Super GT. He will never get a better opportunity to go for his and the team's first win of the season. And don't count out the Up Garage crew. Takashi Kobayashi is there in a competitive Mercedes AMG ahead of the heavier one from Good Smiles. Still quite a lot that could take on there, but the top five all have a genuine stake to make in this race for the victory.
I was just mentioning while you were away that Harry King has got a great chance to shine here. He's been so impressive in the race he's done so far. But for me, I think d'Oliveira has looked, the Kondo Racing Nissan has looked pretty consistent throughout. I just wonder whether the Dunlops will have the staying power on the number 60. Now, I reckon with the time we have left, we probably, this is assuming that there are no further delays. I'm going to predict we're going to get about 23 laps in the remaining 30 laps, just based on the pace of the GT500 cars immediately before the red flag. So that will be obviously 1 or 2 laps less for the GT300s. So there's still a decent amount of racing to go. I don't think we're in any danger really of not getting full points in, because we only need to get to lap 63. So that's the 13 laps on top of the laps we've done already. But it's going to be no holds barred. There's not going to be a certain amount of urgency. There's not going to be, you're not going to sort of wait and see how you try and look after the tyres. I think track position is going to be king, and I think everyone's just going to want to seize any opportunity that's presented to them when it comes.
Well, this is going to be one heck of a restart when we recover. But this is going to be, it's already been, I think it's fair to say, the race of the season. I joked earlier on, didn't I, that can't we race more than once at Sugo? And then, unfortunately, it's a red flag like this that kind of reminds you if we do get the mother of all accidents, tell the extent of the repairs that have had to go in, because we are now on lap 29 of the replay footage that the television broadcasters out in Japan have decided to replay to us, so that we have at least got some active footage on your screens. But the fact that we're up to lap 29, about to go into lap 30 of that replay, tells you just how long we have been under red flags and how long the barrier repair work has been. Good decision, I have to say, to, nearly an hour.
50 minutes.
So,
yeah, it will be an hour by the time we get going.
Indeed. So it doesn't happen very often. And obviously here, with the start time that we've got at this time of the year, with the sun setting as quickly as it does in this part of Japan, it's quite an urgent issue that we do get racing again as soon as is humanly possible. But we are set to go racing again in 10 minutes time for those who are hoping that we go racing soon. So don't worry, grab yourself a quick drink and then get yourself back into your seats, ready for the end of what promises to be a really exciting encounter. And it is going to be exciting, not just in GT500, but also in GT300. None the least, of course, because we still don't really know who is going to be the team with the advantage on the restart, because it's going to come down to tyres. It's going to come down to who's got the warm-up together again. Now we finally come out of our replay pictures to show you the circuit, and all of the repair work appears to have been completed. So well done to the Marshals team around the course. We are now getting ourselves ready for the restart. All three drivers involved, Katsuyuki Hiranaka, Tomonobu Fuji and Riki Okuza, are okay. We will stress that. There are no injuries. Everybody was able to get out of their cars without damage, but there was significant damage to all three cars, and of course the crash barriers on both sides of the circuit. So that's why we have been under red flag conditions for almost an hour, and we will be for an hour when we do go racing again. But now we've only got half an hour left of running before curfew to get this race finished. We won't go the full distance. We'll go a fair portion of it. We will go beyond 75% distance, barring any more catastrophes. But the significant factor is which manufacturer is going to have the best car in this scenario. Is it going to be the Denso Saar Toyota? Is it going to be the Estemo Real Honda? Or is it going to be the Kondo Nissan? Your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one. I think for all of those teams, there would be a huge amount of significance to get this win. I mean, let's take them in turn. Facade, they've had to watch Ceramo, Tom's, both Tom's cars, Rookie Racing all take wins this year. They're the only Bridgestone Toyota team that's not still on the top step of the podium this year. So they dearly want to join that club and show that they're just as worthy of the plaudits as their fellow Toyota teams. Real Racing, as you mentioned earlier, Jake, there's been 3 years since their last win, 2 years since their last on-the-road win. So this will be a nice kind of revenge for what happened 2 years ago when they crossed the line first, but then had it taken away from them for I think it was a plankware infringement at that time. And if you're wondering why the 38 Sunrise Toyota is ahead of all these cars, it's because it's a lap down in 14th. So don't be fooled. It is the Sard car there, number 39, Sasha Fenestraz at the wheel, ahead of the Real Racing car. And then, of course, we don't really need to explain too much detail why it would be a big thing for Kondo Racing, because they haven't won in a long old time, 9 years to be precise. In fact, they're the team with the longest winless run in the class. I think rivaled only by Nakajima Racing, whose last win came in 2017. But I think everybody else has had a win much more recently than that. So that's the story there.
There's quite a few stories brewing in the competition here at Sportsland Sugo. When we do go racing again, we've got some amazing stories coming. And it's going to be a fascinating restart, that is for sure. It's worth pointing out that we've got some big potentials coming here. The cars all in the top 5 have not taken a win for over a year in most cases. Only Supra has had a win in less than a year. They won at Autopolis last year. The Estemo Real Honda hasn't won for 3 years. The Kondo Nissan hasn't won for nearly a decade. You've got to go back to 2016 for their last victory. The ARTA crew did get a victory last year, but that was in the early phase of last year, and it was only one of their cars that did so. Then you've got to go back to P6, Katsumasa Chiyo and Mitsunori Takaboshi for a car that has won this season, and that was last time out. So any of the cars winning in the top 5 would be a fairy tale.
In 300 as well. I mean, the LM Courses team, they've not won a race in a long time. They never won a race with the they did their own bodywork on the Supra. They used the APR off the shelf version for the first year, got a couple of wins with it, put their own bodywork on it, and then they suddenly sunk like a stone in terms of competitiveness. So that team has been a long time without a win. Kondo Racing, even the team with the success that they've had, has not had a win in, I think, at least a couple of seasons. And of course, 7x7 is a new team with the point to prove, and Harry King as well, in just what his 4th start, I think, in this championship. So a lot, as we see Tsubasa Kondo watching on nervously from the sidelines. But I think it's everything to play for this team. Another new team, we talked about Cargo Racing getting on pole in its first year, having won 7x7, of course, brand new as well. So it's great to see these new teams coming in and delivering at such a high level.
Boy, is Jens Sabota going to have his work cut out on the stats for this one. When was the last time that we had 2 completely new teams winning back-to-back in the championship? I'm not sure when the last time that's ever happened. So, boy, is there going to be some hard work to do for Jens Sabota on the stats. But we are going to get ourselves under starters orders. Now, of course, the number 38 car, Toshiki Oyu, is being sent away from the rest of the pack to join up at the back of the queue, as are any of the other cars not on the correct lap compared to everybody else. There goes the car guy Ferrari, Rikuta Kobayashi, to get themselves back to the right end of the pack again. The Mach 5 does the same thing. And this is to basically give us a clean restart so that all the cars are in the correct order off the start. And yes, you are not fooled. That is the Subaru BRZ at the front of the pack. And there is his teammate, Hideki Yamauchi, ready to take over from the man who is currently at the sharp end of the field in GT300. Oh, sorry, Hideki Yamauchi's in the car, I should point out.
Iguchi, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it's Iguchi who is getting ready to get behind the wheel of the car. The Subaru flags are waving furiously in the stands, but they're about to stop waving in misery because, of course, the educated fan knows that this is a ride to nothing. So they're going to make their pit stop very soon, as is the RQ's Mercedes, currently running in 4th place in GT300. And when they do, they're going to plummet to the back of the field. So with everybody gearing up and getting ready for a restart, then it's that beautiful thing about Super GT, unpredictability, that is going to be the main storyline in this closing half an hour of motorsport. And at a time like this, when you know you've got a race circuit that's as fascinating as Sugo, with drivers and cars as fascinating as the cast of Super GT, is there anything better in the world than Japanese sports car racing? Right now, if there is, I don't want to know about it. This is going to be an amazing showdown to the flag. And in both categories, in GT500 and GT300, you are going to be on the edge of your seats to the checkered. We've seen finishes happen on the line here before at Sugo, both in Super GT and Super Formula. This place really does lend itself to sensational racing, as does the Japanese format in general. But this is going to be tight to the wire. It doesn't matter which way you slice it. This is going to be must-see motorsport to the end. All 3 manufacturers with a hand in the GT500 victory. 5 different teams going for glory in GT300. One of those teams is brand new this year up at the sharp end of the field. 7x7 Porsche with the hands of the British driver Harry King in his Porsche, having taken over from the 4-time Porsche Carrera Cup Japan champion Tsubasa Kondo. So this could be a fascinating restart for so many different reasons. There's so many directions to look in. You're going to run out of directions by the end of this race. But who's going to get the job done? In GT500, will it be another Toyota victory as they continue to quest for 8 out of 9, which would be a new record for a manufacturer? Can Nissan scrape a second win of the season? Kondo's first in almost a decade. Or can the Honda Civic bow out of 2025 with a win after all? They only picked up one last year, and that's the only win that the Civic has ever taken in Super GT 500 competition. Could they get a second here today? Jamie, whoever wins, it's going to be a fabulous story.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you're only just joining us, this is the end is in sight for the Civic already, even though it's only in its second season in GT500, because the work is underway on the successor car, the Honda Prelude, which will be replacing the Civic next year. Not official yet, but we expect to be official pretty soon. So it's only 3 more chances for the Civic to get a second win on the board. It's not going to go down in history as one of the more successful models, certainly when you consider the amazing longevity and success of the NSX GT. It would have always been very difficult to match that. But anyway, it would be good to see the Civic get at least 1 more win. Of course, 2 more chances after this race at Autopolis, and then Motegi, of course, the Honda-owned venue where the season finale will be taking place on the 2nd of November.
This is essentially a game of 2 halves now, isn't it? We had that sensational first 50 laps where it was nail-biting pretty much every lap of the way. There wasn't really a time to take stock of the situation and rest on laurels, because it was just a stunner all the way. Now we're going to go back to racing conditions. We are under safety car first of all, and you can see for yourself that in the top left-hand corner of your screen, we're now down to the timer rather than race laps to go, because we're not going to reach the full race distance before the end now, sadly. What we are, however, going to get is an absolute thriller all the way to the checkered flag. It's going to be tight to know who's going to get the job done. Will it be a Toyota for Denso Saad? Will it be a Honda for the Estemo Real Racing team? Or will it be a Nissan for Kondo, who have had to wait for a GT500 victory 9 years? Is today going to be the day it ends? Will Tepenatore take his first win in the championship? Will Shun Koide take his first win in the championship in Super GT 500? So many questions. They're all going to be answered in the next 29 minutes as GT300 now gets underway as well.
Yeah, so the Helm Motorsport, it's a real jumble, isn't it? The Helm Nissan is in the queue there behind the Subaru, then the Leon Mercedes. These are cars that are way down the order, but don't forget the Subaru had an artificially inflated lead by virtue of the fact that it hasn't done its pit stop. So the real net leader. Now, of course, this does mean that the Subaru will be a little bit further ahead than it should be. It will still go way down the field when it finally makes its pit stop. But it does give it that slight cushion that it didn't have had otherwise. But as a reminder, the real leader, as you see, the Ponos Ferrari has not got underway. So that's they need to get underway very quickly, otherwise they're going to have to be pulled into the pits. Looks like have got underway. So
oh, well done, guys. Thank goodness for the Orange Army.
That's the Takura Shimahara at the wheel of that car, so the rest of the field starts to have a Toyota Green Wave car, then the Pacific Mercedes that did that lap around to get to the back of the pack. But it will be the Cintium LM Corsa Lexus that leads once the Subaru's made its pit stop.
It's going to be fascinating off the restart, and it's not clear-cut yet if that Cintium Corsa is going to get the win in GT300. They've got so much opposition on the restart. They'll have a very tough mission in the hand from Shunsuke Kono. They'll have all sorts of interesting battles around them. They'll have the Kondo Nissan, the 7x7 Porsche, the Up Garage and Good Smile AMGs. Even the APR LC500 Hybrid has a chance of a podium here in the hands of Oliver Rasmussen. So there's a lot of interesting challenges. Now, it's showing up on my timing screen that Yori Kimura is now in the lead of GT300. Surely that is an error, because the Mach 5 obviously had to move its way back around the course. I saw it go back to the back of the pack, but surely that's an error. That's got to be corrected.
He should be 14th. I think the timing monitors we have here, it does appear that he's still in the right position, as it were. P14.
Ah, yeah, no, my time is just updated. There we go.
Yeah.
It's just corrected itself.
Yeah, so maybe a bit of confusion from the cars that did the extra lap there. But that shouldn't sort of count as an extra lap. Maybe that's where the confusion came from, but it's just to get themselves into position relative to the other cars.
Yeah, they line up behind the car guy Ferrari now in the actual race order, behind Rikuta Kobayashi. And it's a big struggle for them because they've got ahead of them, before they even start thinking about the win, they've got the Pacific AMG of Yusuke Tomobayashi. They've got the Green Brave Super of Hiroki Yoshida, which definitely has the toughest rear bumper of any car in the field, as we've already found out, courtesy of the Ingin crew. The Ponos Ferrari of Takuro Shinohara, that's already gone through the wars today, almost taken out by the Leon Mercedes and then barely getting started again just now. And then the gain in this out of Ryuichiro Tomita before they even start thinking about the APR of Oliver Rasmussen. So the Cargo Ferrari team really did lose out big time in the pit stops. We knew they were going to, but they probably lost out even more than they were hoping.
I'm a bit puzzled why the safety car is still out, actually, going around again. So
yeah, third lap.
That's given that the track's completely clear now. That's somewhat surprising. Number 3 car, meanwhile, in the pits. So that car was it 13th?
Yes, it was 13th. Yeah, of the 14 cars still running in GT500, so they're going to drop to the back. Yeah. Are they going to go for a fresh set of tyres?
Well, that would be the only reason to do so, I think. I think fuel's not really much of a problem around here.
They are going to give them a fresh set of tyres. Why not? You're going to be dead last in the category anyway. Put a fresh set of boots on and see what happens. Well, this is an interesting bit of strategy.
The safety car does mean at least you won't go a lap down. You'll be at the back of the pack and then you just catch up again. So
worth a dice roll.
They, unless the only thing I can think of is whether they wanted to give the cars that haven't stopped yet the chance to stop under the safety car to negate partially negate the disadvantage, but I didn't see any sign of the Subaru coming in, so looks like that particular invitation was not taken by the 300 runners, but of course everybody in 500 has already done their pit stops.
Indeed, I think that's just a calculated gamble to see what they can do in the closing stages, essentially. They might be able to make up some places because the safety car gives them a chance to catch up to the back of the pack again. And the safety car is staying up for a 4th lap. What is going on here?
Very peculiar. I mean,
this is very unheard of, isn't it?
I mean, we're ticking through the laps very slowly with less than 24 minutes left on the clock. So we need to do another 10. So this is 53 laps completed as they come across the line this time. We need to do another 10 to get to the 75% distance marker. But if we do it under safety car speeds, we're barely going to get there.
Surely they are not thinking of running the rest of this distance under safety car just so that they've got some action on track.
I can only assume it's to allow the chance for disadvantaged teams and drivers to pit, as we see the Hockey Super also taking the opportunity there, because the safety car has to do a certain amount of laps before the pits open, and let's see what happens.
Well, this is where we should get the indication that the race is going to restart again with the Nissan Fairlady Z safety car lights out. There we go. That's it. We're in this lap. So we are now going to go racing. Thank goodness for that. I thought we'd never get this race started again after that. So it's been a bit of an inconvenience for sure. But with 22 minutes left on the clock, we are going to get a barnstorming finish to this race that we always knew was coming. It's Sugo, it's Super GT, and we've got the 3 manufacturers all questing for the victory. We knew this was going to be a bit of a showdown, and we're certainly going to get one. So when does Sasha Fenestraz drop the throttle out front to take the lead with just 22 minutes left in this race in his renaissance year in Japanese motorsport? Now he drops it. And so Sasha Fenestraz blasts us away ahead of Kudo Sugakoshi, Temenatori, Ren Sato, Nobuhara Matsushida, Kanmasa Chio, Giuliano Alesi, Tanasuke Makino. And as they come up the top of the crest, we are back to racing again at Sugo. It's green, 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 green. And Sasha Fenestraz takes this on into the battle. And the Hondas are already getting close for company as Ren Sato fancies his chances of getting his first win in the GT500 category. He goes for broke in fourth position, tries to get the move into turn one on Temenatori. Doesn't get the opportunity in the end. GT300 now gets up to speed, and the battle royale for victory in GT300 begins.
Certainly does. So the help Nissan there, second row behind the Subaru, then the Leon Mercedes. And where is the Cintium core? I think it's there, just making a move on the run-up Revo Nissan. So it is there, not too far behind the Subaru. So very confusing from the outside in terms of the running order not matching the order on circuit. As we see now, the battle resuming in GT500. Giuliano Alesi there in that black and green Tom's machine. So now he does have an opportunity to eat into the points lead in the system #1 car. So this is these are crucial laps now for Alesi. Can he try and make any kind of impression on Katsumasa Chio in the Nissan or Nobuhara Matsushita's #8 Honda? I've noticed now the sun is out and shining, so the track temperatures are going to be rising now, where they when we were under the overcast conditions.
Let's not forget that the leading cars in the championship battle now are the number 23 Nismo Nissan and the number 37 Toyota Supra. But round the outside comes Makino on Giuliano Alesi. What a move round the outside from Tada. A beautiful overtake.
And that's the car that started last. It was looking like it was going to get absolutely nowhere in this race. But that was one of the cars you mentioned earlier, Jake. That was one of the cars that stopped relatively late. So fresh tyres on that 100 car as the Subaru finally makes its pit stop. I'm not sure why they left it until the green flag came. And the 31 is in again. The 31 Lexus is in again. So
contact. That's the Polis Ferrari. Polis Ferrari off at turn one. There's been some contact. So Shinohara has gone around. Well, their race has gone from bad to worse. It was already looking pretty desperate at one stage, and now it's definitely gone for a burden at turn one now. We could end up with another safety car here if that car can't get moving. As Sasha Fenestraz is about to get to it, there goes the Subaru. Down at the back of the field, no chance of getting back into this one unless we go safety car again. The GT500 field are about to reach that Ferrari. They better know that there's an opportunity. Makino side by side with Alesi again. And of course, yellow flags in at turn one means that he's back in front.
Well, Makino got the move on the previous lap, but then Alesi was ahead there. So something happened to Makino to allow Alesi back through. I'm surprised we didn't get the full course yellow there, because that Polis Ferrari was in a rather dangerous position for my liking, as we see the 500 field dream through with the #1 Tom's car at the back of the group there, the championship leading car, of course. And I think now we are going to get the full course yellow.
Yep, full course yellow. It's something we didn't need with the lack of running that we've already got. 18 minutes to go. God, we are flirting with 63 laps now, aren't we? I thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion that we would at least get to 75% distance. Now, I'm not so sure.
We're on lap 57, so 56 laps completed. So we're not far. We're tantalisingly close, but we can't afford too many more delays. As we see the FRO vehicle making another appearance, and the
Subaru's got a puncture. No, it's not a puncture. It's not done up properly. The wheel is loose. What on earth? How have they let that happen? They had all the time in the world to make that pit stop, and they haven't even done the right rear wheel up.
They left it. They didn't come in under the safety car. This is the baffling thing. I don't know why they did that. They should have come in under the safety car. Instead, they waited until the race went green.
Oh, this is just catastrophic.
It's hard to understand. Of course, you have the maximum drive time or drive distance to consider, but anyway, they weren't on for a result either way. So you can.
Well, no, they're not. But if you're in the boardroom on Monday at Subaru, your clipboard is going to be in 3 pieces. That is just unacceptable, isn't it? To make that kind of error when you were not going to get a result anyway, it doesn't make you look good.
No, but it's not the only thing in the last few years that's you can follow that category. I mean, at least it has been more competitive here on circuit, even if the results, well, a podium finish at the very least, just to end the tide of bad results for the Subaru, but it is still a long way to go to be back fighting at the very top, as here is the battle we need to keep an eye out for. Shinsuke Kono in the Lexus ahead of JP de Oliveira, who in the Kono Nissan, who are now nose to tail on circuit, so they've both cleared the APR number 30 as the Subaru.
So sorry, I'm so sorry, I forgot to do it up. Well, that's not really going to help, is it? And I think there's actually...
Is the nut damaged? The hub is damaged.
Yeah, I think it might be. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think that's going any further because it's sheared off at a weird angle. You've now bent it. I'm not sure that'll go on.
Yeah, it doesn't look hopeful, does it? I think...
dear, oh dear.
That's the thinking realisation that it's not just a loose wheel, but rather something more fundamental.
Well, Subaru were not going to get a podium anyway. They came into the pits from the lead, leaving the pit stop so late. But unfortunately, it seems that, well, there's only one lap of running in this race at all for the second driver in that Subaru, isn't it? It's just been an embarrassing end to the day for the BRZ, as it is literally only one lap behind the wheel for... just one lap at all for Takuto Iguchi to get behind the wheel. And the Polaris Ferrari has got going. So Shinohara does manage to recover the Ferrari. But, well, Takuto Iguchi probably wishes he stayed in bed this morning, because obviously the red flag meant he was delayed by an hour to get behind the wheel at all. He was only going to get about 15 minutes behind the wheel anyway. And then he doesn't even get one lap in. So... the man who's feeling the sickest to their stomach right now is Takuto Iguchi. Why did I even wake up?
Yeah, very unfortunate as the full course yellow clears. So this is the battle we need to keep an eye out for in GT300. Kono versus de Oliveira. The Leon Mercedes is a lap down. Helm Nissan is also a lap down. So good to see the Leon car getting out of the way there, not getting involved, even though it, of course, is the championship leading car. And this is the battle in 500. Sasha Fenestraz has escaped on the road. There he is, but it's Kikoshi versus Natori for P2 at the moment. Station in the battle for P4 between the two ARTA Hondas, but Fenestraz is looking relatively good here.
Yeah, this is exactly to script, exactly to plan for the Denso Sard team, who are looking to pick up their first win since Autopolis last year, and certainly Sasha Fenestraz's first Super GT win for quite some time. He was always a fairly decent competitor. He's only actually had one victory in Super GT before this in the 500 category, so this will be his second if he can hold on to it. But Sugokoshi versus Natori, two men who are eager to get a decent result and a decent podium on the board, but watch out for the ARTA Mugen behind them as Shinohara is limping in the Ferrari back to the pits. They've got to be careful. They get around him with decent clearance. As up over the top of the crest, it's green, 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 green once again. And now here comes the move from Teppei Natori to go side by side with Sugokoshi. Will he drive right round the outside? Yes! Oh, what a move from Teppei Natori. Now he's only got 13 minutes to go after Sasha Fenestraz. Go get him! You've got 13 minutes to get the team's first win in 9 years. Make it happen.
2.1 seconds is the gap between Fenestraz and Natori as we see.
Oh, that's the impulse.
So that's another car in trouble. But again, it's another car that wasn't in contention for points. It's been a dismal weekend for that team. So Natori now he's got to knuckle down and make use of this clean air, because there's a bit of empty tarmac up ahead, and he's only got 12 minutes left on the clock. There's not going to be that many laps to actually try and catch Fenestraz, so he needs to absolutely push with all his might. As Sato gets a couple of wheels on the grass there, he's got Matsushita, his teammate, right behind him, and then it's Chio-san in the Nissan number 23 as they try and get clear of the Honda Supra. But Sato doesn't need to be doing that too often in the remaining laps.
So now there is a real charge from the Kondo to close up on the Denso Sard Supra, and he's actually gone to 0.7 of a second back. He's on a real charge here. Tepinatori going after his first victory in Super GT in the 500 category, and Kondo's first for 9 years. It would also be Yokohama's first win for quite a considerable amount of time as well. Look how much time he's made up. This is what it's all about for Kondo, for Nissan, for Yokohama, and of course for Tepinatori. This is big stuff now. Sacha Fenestraz is going to have so much pressure in these last 11 minutes.
Of course, we saw earlier in the race when it was Sekiguchi and Matsuda at the wheel of these two cars swapping the lead, and it was the Kondo car that was quicker after the full course yellow, but then once the race had settled down, it seemed the Sard car had the advantage. So I think Nattori's got a limited window here where he's going to have the advantage. When he, as you see the Nissan again sparking, hitting the deck, they run these cars so low to the ground, especially the Nissan, which is so reliant on the underfloor for its downforce. But I think it's going to be a limited window before the Sard motor gets its up to temperature in the right window, and then we might see Fenestraz pull away. I feel like that's may not have closed on that at 0.6 of a second, so he's still there. But these next couple of laps, he's really got to make them count. It doesn't appear to have any GT300 traffic to help him at the moment.
No, indeed, a GT300 traffic jam would certainly make life easier for the Kondo Nissan to make a quick exit from the scene, jump past Fenestraz, and then disappear. But this is big, big stuff for Nissan. They really want to make it 2 wins out of 2 in the last 2 events. They won at Suzuka last time out with the number 23 Nismo car. If Kondo could get their first win since 2016, that would be sensational. And an opportunity knocking here as down to the braking zone for the hairpin. Fenestraz holding his nerve here on Tepinatori, who really is going gung-ho. They are giving him all the support needed from Kondo. Yokohama haven't taken a victory in GT500, of course, since Suzuka 2023 in round 3 with the Wensport Bando car. So even Yokohama has had a fairly sizable wait for a victory, 2 years since their last triumph. Up and over the top of the crest. Has Tepinatori got enough legs in this Kondo Nissan to challenge Fenestraz at the finish line? It's 0.6 of a second, so they're even on pace again on this last lap. It's going to be very tight indeed, half a second now. So Nattori has really got to find something here. Now they've got some traffic in front of them. This could be the chance. Tepinatori needs the grab with 2 hands. There's going to be some slow traffic in front. Tepe, this is your best chance to go and win a Super GT 500 race. What have you got? Let's find out. That's the Mercedes in front of them. That's the Pacific car that's up the road in front of them. They've got to try and time this right. Tepinatori waiting for his moment to get past. Yui Sekiguchi and Sujio Matsuda did the hard work in the first stint. They went wheel to wheel. Now it's time for their teammates to do the same. And Fenestraz is getting held up behind the Mercedes. This is it for Tepinatori. That was a big bulk on the Denso Sard Supra. If Nattori can keep his foot in here, they've got the Mach 5 car in front of them. Speed Racer could technically hold them up further. And that's a little twitch of hesitation from Sacha Fenestraz. They come up over the top of the crest, down towards turn 1. Nattori's going to go for it round the far side. He's got to be aggressive if he wants to make it work. Fenestraz is masterful in defense. He keeps it together, and Nattori holds station in second place. He can't take the risk.
I wonder if that was that Nattori's best chance. I wonder if Fenestraz, now he's got more clean air ahead of him. There will be, of course, more 300 cars to come in the remaining 8 minutes, but that really seemed like an opportunity to me. It's hard to see what else Nattori could have done there because it wasn't quite close enough. But will he have the same opportunity on the next lap?
It's all about whether Fenestraz is going to make the mistake, but he is a very world-class race driver. He's not going to make silly errors when going up against a young whippersnapper like Tepinatori.
2 very young, hungry drivers. Fenestraz, well, of course, he's a couple of years older than Nattori, and he has the experience of winning, but this is kind of his second coming in Japan. Nattori has had all sorts of trials and tribulations throughout his career. A former Honda junior driver, won the Super Formula Lights title, didn't get the chance in Super Formula. Should have gone to Formula 2. The deal fell to pieces, but can he get the move done here?
Here he goes. Fenestraz having to defend again. Nattori going round the far side. He's got the potential. Can he keep his foot in? He's on the curve. Tepe, you went too aggressive, too early. And now the Honda's going to be all over him like a bad habit. Oh, Tepe, the chance to get the win was right there.
That's really unfortunate. Yeah, now with only 7 minutes left on the clock, I'm not sure I can see Nattori making up that gap now with Kakashi right in his wing mirrors as well. So he's got to turn his attention to defending. He's got to get those tyres back in the window after that off. Two ARTA Hondas are close to company as well. So Kakashi in the slipstream, but I think that Nissan should just about hold the advantage. But there's more 300 traffic coming up, but he's just no longer in a position to take any kind of advantage of that. He's got to be the one who doesn't trip up to allow Kakashi to go past him.
Well, Fenestraz versus Nattori was always going to be close. One of them was going to make the mistake at some point, and on this occasion, it was Tepe Nattori, who looks like he's got to wait now for his first victory in GT500 as Sugo leaves nothing to the imagination, getting around the outside of the J-Lock Lamborghini. Now he's got to try and navigate past Ricky Kobayashi in the Gargai Ferrari. And he's got to run on Nattori to the first corner. Can Sugo find his way through in the real Honda? Far side closing in, and now we've got 3 Hondas on the warpath for Tepe Nattori. That's why it was so important to get Fenestraz when he had the chance, because if you slip up, you've got the mother of all war zones from the Honda contingency on your tail. Oh dear, this was such a good opportunity for Tepe Nattori and Kondo to take this win. 9 years they've been waiting, and it looks like they're going to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, they're still, second position for the season they've had would be a good result. But Nattori's, he doesn't look like he's done yet. I think the gap has closed a little bit there. Fenestraz, he seems to have shaken off Kakashi now, as we see the Nissan of Chio join this fight. There's a gap developing between Chio and Lacey, and it's like turn back. But I think Nattori, he might get another, well, he's at least not in danger of being passed now. He just seems to be catching up again. The gap down to 1 second, so maybe it's not over yet.
There could be another chance. Maybe the Yokohama is still the tyre to have. But we've got less than 5 minutes. He's got to make it count. Fenestraz slow in the traffic. Nattori's going to have another go. He gets a get out of jail free card as they work their way past the Lamborghini. This is it. Now or nothing for Tepe Nattori. Watch out for Kudo Sugo though. The real Honda is still a contender as we only have these 4 minutes left. We're on lap 67. We're still not going to make it to the full distance, so every lap's got to count. And look at the traffic jam building in front as the Subaru almost bogs them indefinitely. Now they're going to have to really navigate their way through. The Gainer gets it out of the way. No major difficulties there, but Fenestraz almost went into the back of the BRZ. Now Nattori has got him down the straight on the breakaway. Out of Rainbow Corner they go, down the straight. This is it. Nattori's got to try and pick his moment. Round the far side. Does he get redemption? There's still traffic in front of them. But the Yokohama is operating well compared to the Bridgestones on the Toyota. Who's going to have the quick wits as they come up to the hairpin? Fenestraz goes around the good smile. So does Nattori. It's going to go down to turn 1, Jamie.
This is the 360 Nissan, just where Fenestraz doesn't need it to be. It's going to be another chance for Nattori, but I think Nattori had to get off the throttle as well there to avoid contact. So I think Fenestraz may just hang on. I think Nattori will try and get around the outside. I'm not sure. No, he doesn't. He's not close enough. But this is so close. Can't remember a finish like this with the top 3 all together. The 4th and 5th place is not far behind either. But Fenestraz just keeping his Supra in exactly the right place that he needs to. Once he clears this number 30 machine, there'll be a little bit of a breathing space with the traffic. But it looks like he's struggling for grip as well.
If Nattori had committed round the outside there at turn 1, Fenestraz would have put him in exactly the same position. He'd been in on the lap before, so he can't fall into that same trap. That's the thing. He now knows what Sasha's going to do if he goes to the outside of turn 1. So he's got to come up with a new magic trick, and he's got to do it quick, because he can't pull the same rabbit out of the hat, because Fenestraz knows exactly where it's hiding. Here they come. Up to the double left once again. We're going to complete lap 68, and Sugo is getting himself dialed in for a crack at the win now. And look who's up for the battle too, Ren Sato. He's there in 4th place in the LTA Mugen. This isn't done for him either. He can sneak onto the podium. He's got to stay hungry. Meanwhile, in GT300, Gianpaolo Di Oliveira is still only 1.6 back from Shunsuke Kono. He's not catching the way we thought he would. And Harry King has dropped 11 seconds back, side by side, nearly into the door of the Ferrari from Tepe Nattori. Such is the urgency to cut through the traffic. Now they've got the Leon Mercedes that leads the championship, but nothing else here at Sugo. Trying to dive away on the inside through. Tsukakoshi now door to door with the Ferrari and losing ground to the 2 leaders. That's critical. If Honda want the win, they're going to need a miracle.
King there, we just talked about him. He's the next car. Oh, getting lurid slide there for Harry King in 3rd place in GT300. He's going to be the next 300 car to be swallowed up by the pack, and we're probably on the penultimate.
Here we go.
Now as Nattori has a look, but he's going to be around the outside again. Fenestraz has it covered. Nattori, there's no way around the outside at Horseback Corner. Surely we're going to have one more lap here.
Yeah, it's going to be time for just one more bite of the cherry for Tepe Nattori. He's going to need to pull something quite special out of the hat here. Harry King will get out of the way of 1. Will it be 2? Yes, he just about leaves enough room for Tepe Nattori. So we are going to have a final lap showdown between Toyota and Nissan, Denso Sard and Kondo. Is there going to be a first victory for Tepe Nattori? He goes long, round the far side again. Fenestraz cuts him off, but this time Nattori is wise to it. Can he keep his foot in? I thought he might just get the undercut there on the inside. Fenestraz backs him up into the path of the Honda. Nattori knows he's running out of opportunities, but Fenestraz's back is well against the ropes.
Certainly is. It's going to come down to Horseback Corner, isn't it? That's going to be the last opportunity, I think. But Fenestraz is really struggling. You can tell because Tsukoshi is right there, Sato is right there. Even going back to further behind,
that's a Lacey.
Still very close. Indeed, I was just prompted by that.
Alesi is there in P5. Nattori is going to go right round the far side. They're going to go side by side at Horseback. Nattori's made it. Oh my goodness. Sugo to come back. Nattori. They have stolen the win away. Just 4 corners from home. Now they've got the final hairpin to navigate. They've taken the win out of Toyota's fingers. Kondo Racing will get their first win for nearly a decade. Tepe Nattori comes of age in GT500. His first win in the GT500 category as Kondo steal it on the very last lap. Shunsuke Kono is still defending from Gianpaolo Oliveira, who is catching him on the last lap, but their showdown is going to be nothing like as close as it has been in GT500. The race of the season, the finish of the season. Nissan steals it. Wow!
I really thought Fenestraz had done enough there, but it didn't work. Nattori, well done for Nattori for trying something different and going around the outside of Horseback Corner, because that gave the advantage then for SP and SP out. This is the closing stage of the battle between Kono and De Oliveira, who will be classified a lap ahead of Harry King, who's already crossed the checkered flag in 3rd place. Good Smile Mercedes in 4th. Gainer is that 5th? How's that happened? One of the mysteries we're going to have to unravel after this one, but it's going to be a well-deserved victory for the number 60, the clear favourite from the outset. They've got the job done, starting from 2nd place. So well done to Hiroki Yoshimoto and Shunsuke Kono, first win for them since 2021.
A double podium for Kondo Nissan, so nearly a double victory.
Yeah, very close, very close.
That could have been an absolute fairy tale for Kondo Nissan. Their first GT500 victory for 9 years. The wait is over. Sugio Matsuda picks up win number 19. Tepe Nattori picks up win number 1. And what a hero. What a hero.
That will taste very sweet indeed. I'm just looking at the sort of the lower part of the GT500 ranking, and Nobuharu Matsushita was 5th sort of last time we saw him, across the finish line 9th. So there's something pretty drastically went wrong for the number 8 ARTA Honda. Showed Sugo coming home for a single point in 10th, by the way.
Remember what we talked about though, Jamie, at the red flag. Those people that were not quite sure about how long their tyres were going to last. There it is. The tyres just dropped for certain drivers at the end there.
So we got
the result.
Well, we got the 75% laps, of course, in, so it's 4 points. So just having a look at the point standings now, but I think it's going to be 8-point lead for Sugo in Manchester.
And that's what it means to Tepe Nattori. It's a big, big moment in a young racing driver's career when they get the keys to a GT500. It's a special, special car. It takes a certain type of character to tame these beasts, but to win in one, well, that's magical. And Tepe Nattori has just given himself a massive pat on the back and shown everybody that he is ready to come of age. Tepe Nattori, his first win in Super GT in the 500 category, and that is what it means. He is almost beyond words. But his teammate, Sugio Matsuda, any consideration for retirement, Sugio? Fat chance. Not today. No way.
I mean, a brilliant advert for, well, especially for Tepe Nattori, because, you know, he's going to be one of the drivers who represents the future for Nissan, by far the youngest driver in the Nissan stable, only in his second year. They kept him in the 24 car this year. They had the chance to move him up to number 3. They decided not to do that. They decided to get Daiki Sasaki back. Fennis Traz is going to be really frustrated, isn't he? That's second place for the second time at Sugo in space 6 weeks. He was second in Super Formula.
But he does the right thing. Yeah, he does the gentlemanly thing.
And it's nothing less than I would expect from Fennis Traz. You know, he's a fierce competitor, but he's also very good-natured, fair person, and he'll be the first to admit that he maybe didn't play it, you know, didn't have the grip at the end, or didn't put his car in quite the right place to stop this man.
What a finish. What a race. That was, without a doubt, the race of the year for so many reasons, even with the red flag, even with the fact we didn't get a full distance. Boy, did we get a show. I mean, this championship, it is the greatest sports car championship on the planet in terms of drama, in terms of action, in terms of competition, in terms of unpredictability. If you want to make a new championship, if you want the fans to come in their thousands, if you want people to be on the edge of your seat, look at these guys. They just know how motor racing is supposed to work. And every single week, we get sensation.